Okay, now you're on the air.
Hey everyone, thank you for standing by. Sorry about the delay, but thank you for waiting ever so patiently. So now that we have you all here, I am super excited to be letting you know what I've been up to. Let me just first put my laptop somewhere.
We got some technical difficulties, right? So,
yeah.
Julia, that it doesn't matter how good you are or whatever. Sometimes there are gremlins in the system, right? And all about calming that vibrations, and then suddenly things work. It's amazing.
I was freaking out a little bit, but you know what? We're here now, so
exactly. We're glad to see people on as well, right? And a couple people texting us and stuff like that, saying, "Hey, what's going on?" and stuff. But it's good that you guys waited out. But Julia, yeah, this is your show, so I will see you guys in a few minutes.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, where do I start? Well, this is about your breakthrough, right? And then that's what the title of this event is, because I feel that you're worth a lot more than you give yourself credit for. And of those of you who have been following me here on my Facebook, or whether you subscribe to my email or just in my social media, and you've been seeing me making inspirational videos and documenting my lifestyle and talking about my passions and what is the purpose of all this, and how can you actually leverage something that you're actually really passionate about into a business, right? I feel so many people, and nowadays they're in a job, but they're not actually doing something they're really passionate about. They're just doing something to kind of pay the bills, right? So we have people that are musicians, for instance, right? But they're just working that side job, and it's actually taking away from their passion. It's burning them out. Or, maybe you're an athlete, or maybe you're just an inspiring entrepreneur. Whatever the case may be, I feel that it's difficult in the real world to really go full forward with your passions, because the reality is that, to start a business, whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're a brand of yourself, it does cost money to start that. And I can understand how it can be hard to really pursue that. And what I found is that through blogging, it's actually a very affordable way, yet very duplicatable for the regular person, the average person, to take a passion that they're interested in and actually bring it to life and make a career out of it. So that's kind of the theme, is like, how can you take what it is that you're currently doing, and how can you get found, get known, be seen as an authority in the online industry, or just in the industry that you're in, whether you're an athlete, a musician, or I don't know, maybe you like knitting sweaters, whatever your passion is. How do you get known for that? And how do you get people to find you? Because the reality is if you're focusing only locally and you're just given business cards and you're going to networking events, that's great and all. But the reality is that now we're living in an ever-growing international market. And if you're limiting yourself just to locally, you're not going to expand. In fact, you're going to be spinning your wheels in the same place. Yeah, you might get some headway, but are you really going to grow? Why are you really doing this? And we will tap into the mindset needed in order to make that dream a reality, because it's going to get tough. As an entrepreneur, the road to success is not a smooth one, but if you have a strong why and a strong vision, it will propel you forward. So that leads me really nicely into kind of our story and how me and Desmond Soon connected, and the reason why we're so relentless about our passions, about our dreams. And we will go forward no matter what the obstacle, because that is the kind of attitude you need to succeed. When you're an entrepreneur, you're your own boss. There's nobody hovering over your shoulders to tell you what to do, when to take a break, nothing, okay? You need to be disciplined. But in order to have that discipline, you need to start with a strong why. Why are you doing this? And yeah, sure, having money, a house and a car, these are all great reasons, but you got to get deeper to that. What are you really seeking? What do those things bring you? Are you seeking for a feeling? Are you looking for accomplishments, sense of pride, of acknowledgement, right? Why do you feel that way? What are you maybe seeking approval from your parents? Do you want to give back to your family? Do you want to, so whatever it is that why, today is about digging deep into the roots, into your inner core of your desires. And from that point, leveraging that burning desire to actually really make your passion your full-time career. Like, how amazing would it actually be to do what you were meant to do in this life? I feel too often we're plugged into the system. Well, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be this, because this is what gives you the lifestyle that you want to live. But what about doing something you actually love and enjoy, already living the lifestyle you want as a way to create the lifestyle you want, right? So I won't go into that. What I'm going to be doing here at Desmond is I'm just going to be sharing a slideshow of how we met and our stories, our whys, and then we're going to be, what you're going to get from tonight, which I hope that you get tonight, is value. So whatever it is that your why, I hope I got you thinking about that already. Hold that in the back of your mind, because then we're going to show you the exact strategies and the toolkits that you can use so that you can implement into monetizing the passions that you currently have. Okay, so, but first, the number one thing we got to start for is mindset, and then we're going to talk strategy, and then we're going to implicate it for those who are ready to take action. So I'm just going to share my slideshow with you guys. So just a moment here. And let's make sure I'm sharing my screen first. Awesome. Ooh, I'm warmed up. I don't know about you guys. Okay, let's make this look nice and pretty for you. Let's go view. And my computer's ever so slow. Guys, get a Mac if you can. I'm just telling you right now. Do I click view, outline view? Is this
No,
the
just
one?
go to slideshow, just up on the top, slideshow again. Go to slideshow, and then in the very top. So like home, insert, design, transitions, and then slideshow.
Oh, well, aren't,
Yep.
isn't that lovely? From the beginning of time. So this is, are we sharing a screen? Can everybody see the screen?
Yep, everyone can see it. I'm just
perfect, beautiful. So again, this is about, you know, and it doesn't mean that you have to be going through something tragic, but I think we can all relate that in life we do go through some struggles, right? And how do you push forward that to actually have a true breakthrough? So that's what me and Desmond stand for. You know, Desmond's, you know, I've heard of his motto is turning setbacks into comebacks, and you will see the kind of setbacks he's gone through. It is beyond inspirational, but we really united in this type of a theme because we're so relentless about our passions and dreams because of one mission, and that is our whys. So first, I will just talk about a little bit about me for those of you who are new to me. Maybe some of you on here are my friends. If not, my name is Yulia Tudor. By the way, that is a capital I, my friends. It is not an L. My name is not Lulia. I am Romanian. As you can see, I've actually immigrated to Canada in 1997. And I came here with my parents, and it really were the first generation. My mom, dad, brother, and I didn't know anyone. They barely knew a word of English. You know, talk about relentlessness. You know, I really saw that in my family where they gave up everything to start a new life, to give back to us an opportunity that, quite frankly, Romania is in a pretty shitty economic situation right now. So I'm really grateful to be here. But mainly, one of their main drives for bringing me here to Canada is because I had a health condition. It's called scoliosis, and what that is, it's a curvature in the spine. I basically would have looked like Hunchback of Notre Dame if I didn't have this surgery. So thank God for that. So, you know, I was lucky. I had a successful surgery, and I did the traditional thing that, you know, maybe 90% of people do, is, you know, you go to college, you do the post-educational thing to make my family proud. And I was pursuing psychology because I love people, and I love helping people, and I feel that I could really connect with people. Now, what happened is that, what are you doing when you're a student? You're sitting at a desk, you're carrying heavy books, you're pretty much like sedentary for at least 12 hours of your day, right? Time for exercise, barely, if you can squeeze some of that in. And when the exams are done, I pretty much just drank my face off. But, you know, did the real college experience thing. But what happened is eventually this lifestyle, this scholarly lifestyle, took a toll on my life, on my health. And it actually impaired me to the point where I couldn't sit anymore. And if I want to go for a PhD in psychology, you kind of have to sit for another 7 years and do a bunch of research, right? So, you know, I applied for grad school and I got 2 offers on the table. And I clearly remember this day. I was looking at my offers and I was in devastating pain, like 10 out of 10, picture a knife in your back. And I realized that this is a career that I can't go forward with anymore. So just picture this, 6 years of my life invested into something that I was so passionate about, you know, for a really long time. And then not only that, but financially invested. You know, I'm in a hole of over $50,000. And I think I represent one of the many people of what's wrong with the society, because student loans are the one thing that you can't buy yourself out of. You know, if you go into a business and you go into debt, okay, you can get yourself out of that. But student loans, you can't. So it really put me down this was my breakdown moment. It truly was. And I went through a course of an existential crisis. Like, what the hell do I do with my life? So I'm like, all right, what kind of skills do I have? Well, you know, like I said, I love people, and I started my own personal training business because I wanted to fix my condition, and I'm like, hey, why not help other people as well? So I tried that, right? And at the same time, you know, starting off your own business from the ground can be tough, you know, especially when you don't have any credentials. I didn't go to school for training. Right? So then I started looking at alternative money-making options. And yes, I did the traditional network marketing thing. I'm sorry if I called you on the phone and invited you to some meeting in a boardroom and tried to sell you some energy drinks. That is something that I did. But you know what? It did open my mind to something very cool. And that was the concept of leverage and building an organization and actually, you know, having customers as well as business partners that can promote a product on my behalf and making a residual income. So, you know, I was pretty successful with that, and trust me, I worked really hard at building that organization. However, what happened is that the company went underground. So then I could no longer do that anymore. So what did I do? I'm like, well, I have all these sales skills. So I went straight into door-to-door, something I've been doing for a while. And I'm talking all commission sales, okay? So talk about being your own boss. You don't go to work, you don't make any money. And I've been doing this for the past 2 years, and which actually led to opening up my own property maintenance business. I know it sounds glamorous and all, but the thing is I don't know about you guys, but what it takes to really start your own business, it's actually quite expensive. I mean, the van itself costs, you know, over $50,000. Then there's equipment that you have to buy, and then there's money you have to put into the marketing, right? Time, money, energy. I'm telling you, to start a traditional brick and mortar business, it's not easy. But I can say that I've done it all. So how did that lead to where I am right now? Well, the funny thing is that, you know, while I was doing my network marketing thing, I noticed, you know, I had a geeky person in my team, and he wasn't comfortable talking to people like I am. I mean, I could blab forever, but he was a little more shy, a little more introverted, and he showed me this like blogging thing. And then I noticed that he was actually making more sales than I was. You know, I was, you know, spinning my wheels, running, trying to talk to everybody. And he was making more sales by just, you know, blogging about his passions and simultaneously promoting a product that he believed in. And I'm like, I gotta take a look at this. So I took a look at it, and that's pretty much what I've been doing ever since. And I've been creating a brand for myself, doing what I still love to do, which is helping people, which is what I originally wanted to go into psychology for, as well as giving myself the freedom to work from my laptop, giving myself the freedom to, you know, work from anywhere in the world and have my own schedule, so that if I need to exercise and take care of my health and my body, I can do that now. So if this is something that you're interested in, to learn how to monetize your passion, that is something we can definitely take a look into. But why? Why am I doing all of this? Why am I working so hard? Why am I, you know, really running forward? Well, it's my family. And what you can see here is pretty much all I have. And it was us four. I came here to Canada. And right here, that's my dad. This was, oh gosh, that was probably 2000. And as you can see right now, he's getting quite older. And the reason why is because he is the main bread earner of the family. Yeah, he supports all three of us. And it's enough. You know, he's a truck driver. And oh man, he's the funniest guy if you ever get to meet him. He's kind of like me, but just way funnier and way crazier. And it's just like such a shame for him to spend 14 years of his life on this truck, which is pretty much like a cage, no different than a cubicle. And I just, I want to give back. I want to give back the life that they gave up for me. Because the reason why I'm here, the reason why, yeah, sure, I have back pain, but you know, I could have been a lot worse. The reason why I feel I'm alive is because of them. And I will do anything. It doesn't matter what gets in my way. I will break through walls if I have to give them the life they deserve. And over here, so I'm like tearing up here. Over here is my grandpa. Now, I haven't seen him in about 20 years. Can you imagine that, right? And that's me and my family just Skyping him right there. And, you know, I kind of have I've lost a sense of identity because, yeah, I call myself Romanian, but I don't really know who I am. I'm not fully Canadian, and I'm not fully Romanian either because I've lost touch with my roots. And I need to see him before, you know, his time goes. And it has to happen fast. So I'm not kidding around here. I will do whatever it takes, and I will do it fast because success breeds success, and success favors all-out massive action. So, you know, if you see me hustling out here in the social media and putting posts after posts and, you know, being all part of sorts of events and networking with the people that have what I want and been where I've been, this is why. And I'm not going to stop until I get it. So that's kind of my story here, kind of intense, but I do want to transition into Desmond's story here. Desmond, I did my best to create this slide for you, but yeah, I want you to just kind of take it from here and share with people, you know, what got you to being a father entrepreneur. Guys, just a little background about Desmond Soon here. He's been through a lot, and you know, he went from having a traditional brick and mortar business, right? And they're like $1 million businesses, lost it all, right? And he'll talk about that struggle. But the beauty of all this, really, and what I want you to focus on in this story is how he turned that setback into a full comeback, where now he's a fatherpreneur of two beautiful children, running a full-time online business, working from the comfort of his home. He doesn't have to commute. He gets to spend those precious moments that we take so for granted with his children growing up, right? And him being in charge of the education that they get. And now he generates over 5 figures a month consistently. Why? Because he puts in the consistent action. Now, of course, results are not typical. See the disclaimer down below. But guys, what I want you to pay attention to is to the possibilities of what you can do. So Desmond, take it from here.
All right. Thank you so very much, Julia. Can you hear me loud and clear? Everything's
I definitely can.
But yeah, you know, I mean, at the start of this, guys, when we first got on, I mean, you have no idea about the stress that Julia was feeling. You know, when at 6 o'clock, when you know, we're like, okay, let's get started. I'm like, Julia, I can't hear you. The mic's not working. And you know, we're going through everything here, right? And Julia was, I mean, needless to say, she's excited, right? She wants to share the story. She wants to give you value. I'm really proud of Julia. I got to know her, I would say just over about, I would say we're coming up on 2 years now. Because I've been back in Vancouver for about 2 years now. And I will share all different aspects of my story. And I want to make a promise with you guys. So first of all, I just want to ask some permission. And I know you guys can't really reply back. I can't see the chat or anything like that. But I just want to just do it anyways out of formality and just ask your permission, guys. Allow me to will you allow me to share my story with you? Okay. And if you're nodding your head, you're saying yes. Okay. Then the next thing is, okay, whatever disbeliefs or whatever your current situation is, wherever you are in your life right now, whatever story you've been telling yourself as to why you're in that situation, I need your permission right now for you guys to trust me and to suspend any disbelief that you might have. Now, you're going like, Desmond, what is that? Okay, yeah, sure, I'll suspend whatever, you know. That's what the average person's thinking. But just, you know, I just want you to focus on that. Just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be open-minded to what Desmond's going to talk about. And no, I'm not going to pitch you anything, though I will probably share with you what Julia and myself use as a suggestion for you guys. But in general, everything that we're going to talk about today here could be used by anyone. Okay, so you don't even have to work with us. Okay, if you're not, and you don't have to feel any pressure to use any tools, platforms, systems, software, anything that we might suggest. Okay, I'm just going to try to show you what's the best thing and what works for me, and then you can make the decision what works for you. Okay, so moving forward here, Julia, maybe what you want to do is you can turn off your screen share. I'm going to do my screen share.
No problem.
And then just let them sort of see my face here. They can see me talking here. And, you know, yeah, I think your screen share is off. You're good.
Okay,
So,
we're good.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure guys can see me there. So I'm dressed pretty casual here. You can see I've got this blue shirt on. You know, it's Saturday today. And funny story, guys. You know, my whole story revolves around turning setbacks into comebacks. And unbeknownst to anyone, okay, like to most people, starting just at the start of this month, March, I was having a really nice November, December, January, February, and then something happened in March. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you guys in all the details. I'll give you guys the cliff notes, but I just felt like energy was down, okay? Because I do a lot of online stuff, right? You know, I'm a very, I've learned to become a very numbers person. I wasn't before, but I learned to be a numbers person. The numbers just weren't ticking over. And if anyone's ever been in sales, or you run your own business, or you have run your own business, or you are working in a company, and you work in the sales department or marketing department, there's normally quotas, and there's numbers that you kind of need to see, you know, and it ticks over every month. It's like clockwork, right? It's like the bread and butter of the business. Well, what was happening was I noticed in the first 10 days, things were not ticking over. Even worse, not only was it not taking over, we were getting a lot of customer complaints. I was getting a lot of like refunds. I was getting a lot of things. So I was like, whoa, not only is the fuel not coming in, not only are things not coming in, things are being canceled. And then there's even a couple of negative like people that I had to do some damage control with. So it was like I was getting slammed with that, right? Then in addition to that, there was things happening on my own personal home front. Now, sound familiar to all of you guys, right? Like, you know, something happening on my own personal home front. There was stuff happening even within a company that I'm affiliated with. There was some, you know, in the back, behind the scenes, some politics and drama was going on. And because I'm a leader within the company there, you know, I'm privy to a lot of that knowledge. And so a lot of the field, the market, were asking me all these questions. And I could not deal with it. I'm like, I've got my own problems to deal with, guys. I've got things I need to take care of. Otherwise, you know, I'm not going to be able to, you know, make my numbers for the month and stuff. So I could not be bothered with all that drama, guys. And it really, you guys honestly shouldn't be focusing on that drama either. It has really nothing to do with you. You go produce your own numbers and stuff. So I was dealing with all that. I'm doing this damage control stuff. And then to make matters worse, now I've been back in Vancouver for 2 years, okay? So I was born in Singapore. I'll show you guys some slides and I'll tell you my whole story here. But I'm living in my parents' basement at the age of 38 years old. And I'm now not ashamed to say that anymore, okay? Yeah, appreciate the message there, Terrence. I see someone send me a message there. And I'm living in my parents' basement. I'm a single parent, okay? I'm not divorced from my wife. My wife and me are not estranged or anything. But we went through such hardships. We had to make some very hard decisions. And one of those decisions was for her to remain in Japan, okay? And for me to take the kids and go home, right? Julia, I think if you're typing in the chat in here, they're not gonna see that. You're gonna have to go into the actual, like the Hangout views there, right? So this is only between you and me. I can see you typing there. So, you know, here I am at 38 years old. I came back at 36. I'm 38 now. So it's been 2 years since I came back. And when I came back absolutely devastated, right? After spending 12 years in Japan, after working at, you know, like Goldman Sachs and wonderful places like that and stuff like that, I was completely devastated, right? No money. Yulia talked about it. All my different like brick and mortar businesses. Let me just turn off my phone, make sure there's no sounds coming from it. And, you know, I had to ask my dad to fly out to Tokyo to pick me up in 2 suitcases. That's all I had left. Okay, even though I had lavish condominiums and cars and everything got garbaged. Everything got thrown away. Everything got sent to the recycle companies were probably jumping for joy. They got like a $2,000 Italian leather sofa for nothing. In fact, they charged us to take it away. Can you believe that? Right? You know, and then they could just go resell it and make a shitload of money. Right? From my stuff, my belongings, things that I'd worked hard over the last 12 years. You know, suits, neckties, and I dress nicely. Ask Yulia and everyone, they call me Desmond, right? It's the nickname I've got. So today I'm not in a suit. I'm actually casual, right? All that stuff, I come back here, right? Well, guess what? Just a few days ago, I had an altercation with my parents, right? I mean, I've been living in their basement, even though it's separated and everything, and I asked them to babysit my kids, and I even went out and had a job and everything, and then Sony laid me off. And I've been reestablishing myself here in Vancouver. And in the last 1 year, okay, so Sony laid me off in 2015, just over a year ago, and I've been full-time single parent, stay at home making a 5-figure income working on the internet. But it wasn't always the case. It started off with trickles. It started off in tiny dollars that you couldn't even buy a coffee with, right? And over the 2 years, which is only about 24 months, guys, I have watched hundreds and hundreds of people try to do what we do online and quit and come in and promise the world to me and say, we're gonna do this, Desmond, we're gonna be on the beaches of the world, right? And attend events, you know, and all kinds of promises. And I've got them all on video because I like to take a lot of video and photographs. And I've got chats of people making these promises and they're not here with me anymore. So the heartbreak of people quitting and all that kind of stuff. I'll share that on another day, guys, when you get to know me a little bit more, maybe we have more time. But the ups and downs, what I'm trying to say here is that Yulia and me, what I'm very proud about Yulia is that she went through a whole bunch of shit. She's burned out setbacks. I mean, like, I won't lie to you guys, but seriously, in 2015, I thought Yulia was a gone case. Like, I was giving up on her, right? And I don't.
Oh my God, I'm still here.
Like, seriously, because like she was so unstable. There was so many things, and she's like most of you. If you guys are entrepreneurial, you guys get the shiny ball syndrome. You got great ideas. You're like ADD, right? But what I was telling her was, I've said, Yulia, the real secret of success, especially what we do, is actually being able to just say no to everything and just focus on one thing for a solid 1 year. If you trust me on that, and if you just pay attention to what I'm telling you, you will see success. And she's in her 20s, right? She's forever. She looks like she's 19, 20, right, guys? You know,
close to my 30s. Oh my God.
No, you're not. No.
Yeah.
So it's like forever 21. She's, and I'm 38, and obviously I've got a couple more years on her and stuff, and I've been through all my stuff. So I'm trying to advise her like a big brother. I'm like, Yulia, you got to stabilize. And we talk about these 4 evils all the time, right? Write this down here, guys. If you guys want to take some really valuable notes, this will really help you out. 4 evils, okay? And I'll talk about it in my presentation as well. But you can just quickly write it down. Number 1 is your health, right? And Yulia, obviously, it's not her fault that she's got scoliosis, right? But it does affect her ability to either hold down a full-time job that requires sitting or sometimes standing. I've watched her. I mean, she's a gorgeous girl and everything, but this is like, so I really do feel for the people that have got disabilities. And Yulia's not got disability, but there are people that have had car accidents, right? There are people that have had suffered cancer and they're in remission and in recovery now. There are people that have had all kinds of different things, right? Maybe you got gout, maybe you got this, maybe you got that. I don't know what your case is, but I just want to say that I do understand if you've got a health issue. Just don't make the health issue your crutch, is what I'm saying. There are people all around the world. I've got friends that have got no arms and no legs, and they're still outdoing people that have much, much lesser disabilities who are whining, complaining. I've got people who are completely deaf and dumb who are working online in the internet. Yes, deaf and dumb. I mean, oh, sorry, yeah, deaf, can I say that? Yeah, deaf and dumb, like speech, impediment and hearing impediment. So, I mean, how do they communicate? They just type, right? I've got people who are blind. They can't see what's on a computer. How the heck do they navigate on the internet? So, whatever your case is, don't let it be a crutch, is what I'm saying. The 4 evil. I mean, like, then of course we got younger people. I joke with Yulia about this. I'm like, the younger generation, because I'm now an old fogey, right? She's young to me. So I'm like, yeah, you young whippersnappers and stuff like that. You guys go out partying and stuff. Like, her birthday was just recently, right? She went out for a big night out and stuff like that. And then the next day, early, if she has to go to work, then she's, she probably still goes to work, but she might be a little bit late. She might be rushing. She might forget to put on her makeup. I mean, and have to get to the office all flustered and stuff. And what that is like, that instability, that roller coaster of life, in the younger days and stuff for the people, that affects your health. If you got a hangover, you're not productive at work that day. So that's number 1 evil. Okay, number 2 evil is the emotional issue. Okay, and I think a lot of times women think, oh well, the men are thinking the women are the super emotional. Trust me, the guys, we're also just as emotional. What just recently happened for me just a few days ago, that altercation with my parents was a really hard one. Like these are like the once in a year type blow-ups, my dad is an extremely stoic guy. He's a Chinese engineer kind of guy, very calm, doesn't say much, normally doesn't say anything, but when he does say something, he drops hints, means he's really pissed, right? And so that led from one thing to another, and I was lipping him back because I felt I was being attacked, I was being cornered, right? I was feeling unappreciated and stuff like that. And so it blew up. But in the process of that, we made a decision. It's like, look, Okay, we've helped you out, son. We've given you a place to stay, a temporary place to stay. You know, you've rebuilt yourself in Vancouver over the last 2 years, but it's time for you to move out, right? It's time for you to, you know, you're being a burden. Let's agree to disagree and all kind of stuff, right? And so I'm like, how can I be a burden when I'm actually giving you guys more money and stuff? So, you know, to me, I felt unappreciated for that. So guess what? For the last few days, I was feeling like shit, okay? I was feeling like shit. I was feeling unmotivated. I was feeling stressed out. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna have to move out now. My poor son's, you know, he's already settling into a school nearby our house, and he's got friends, and it's a really good school and everything, and now we gotta move again, right? And some people love moving. If you're like young, you probably like the vagabond, you know, the whole laptop lifestyle, the freedompreneur and stuff, that you want to travel the world. Good. I'm 38. I've already done that. I've lived in Japan. I've done all my things. I kind of want to settle down a bit now. I want to kind of a home base a bit, right? So that's what I'm kind of trying to do right now. I don't want to have to keep upping and moving all the time. So long story short, I start like in anger, in frustration, in feeling like, you know, unappreciated and not wanted. I'm being showing you very transparently here, and I'm very human, just like you guys, right? These, you know, emotions go through me. And during those emotional times, that was instability in my life. And so it affected my business. And so I wasn't really doing the typical daily things that I normally do for my business, the income producing activities. And when I pulled that back, true enough, the results kind of slowed down as well. Again, right? I'd already told you I got off to a bad start this month, right? But I've been trained. Okay, I've learned. I'm a big proponent of personal development. Yulia is. That's why Yulia and me are both really good friends, because we're big on the, you know, law of attraction, the book, The Secret, Think and Grow Rich, Ask and It's Given, Tony Robbins, you know, Awaken the Giant, 10X, you know, the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, FU Money by Dan Locke. You know, just I'll show you some of these stuff and everything. So really big on the personal development side of things. And so, and I lead and I coach and I mentor people as well. Quite a few, a big chunk of people, as well as close to about over 150 people, okay? So I have to take my own advice with these people, and I had to calm my own emotions down, and I had to focus on the positives. I had to see this as just a road bump. You know, the universe is presenting me with something. In fact, Yulia and me chatted about it, I believe just last night, right? And I was in a pretty down moment last night still, okay? You know, and I don't normally chat and share negatively with, I consider Yulia like a mentee, okay? And there's several other people as well that are mentees. But there are times when Yulia is also kind of like a peer of mine. She's someone close enough to me, like a sister, that I can share some stuff with, that she keeps confidential. And I was chatting with her, and I'm like, just, you know, because people can feel my vibration. I'm a very positive, outgoing, charismatic person. So if I'm kind of down, I get quiet, or I'm not responding on chats. So I just want, and because she was organizing this event, and I said, hey, I'd be glad to come on and help and share my story with the people you invite as well, right? So, but I was apologizing to her. I'm like, look, I've been really distracted, and I cannot really like focus on helping you set things up. You're gonna have to handle it yourself. And true enough, she did. She's the leader that she is. She set everything up on her own, which really helped me. It gave me the time to go focus and deal with this situation, okay? And why is it important? I'll get to that in a second, because these four evils, okay, happen to everyone, regardless. All successful people go through it in their lives. What makes more people, like the successful people, more successful than the average people is it doesn't mean they don't have these four evils. It just means they've learned to stabilize them better. And when it happens, they learn how to deal with it quicker and quickly get back onto a normal path. They don't let it keep bugging them and slowing them down and using it as excuses. So the health issues I talk about, right? The successful people take care of their health better, right? Because they understand that having good health, right, allows them to be more productive, sleeping better, all those kind of things, you know, juicing up and all kind of stuff, and detoxing and all those kind of things. So they take care of their health, right? They love to party too as well, but they know how to do it in proportion. Like they know how to do it relatively, you know, so that they're not overkilling themselves. They know how to sleep well so they can be productive. I've already mentioned that. They also know how to maintain their emotions. They get away from negative people. They stay away from negativity. They don't watch the news, the media. If they've got a negative spouse or a girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, and all that kind of stuff, they might have to get out of that relationship. Or if they've got negative family members. So like in my situation, it was kind of, my parents love me very much, right? They've been very supportive, and I'm extremely grateful and appreciative of them. Don't ask me that, 24, 48 hours ago, I was still feeling pretty bitter at them, right? But, I do appreciate everything they've done for me. They've been middle class. They've worked hard their whole life. My dad is 66, 67. right? And he's still working, and with no end in sight. He will just probably work till the day he drops, right? Which is so sad to say. My mom has always been a housemaker. She's had part-time jobs, different things like that. She worked in the banks when we were, my brother and me were just before we were born. And ever since then, she's been a housemaker for me, my brother, and my sister, right? So I've got an older brother that's a year and a half older than me. There's me, the middle child, and then my sister, right, is like 10 years younger. So she's the baby sister. But my sister's moved out. My brother's moved out at a good time because I came back and I needed to use my parents' house as a kind of a halfway home, to kind of get my feet on the ground again. And I did, but it's time for me to move out, right? So get this. I'm getting to the good part of the story here. Bear with me, okay? So you might even hear my kids in the background there. They're playing outside the room here. I'm going through the list of all the stuff here, right? I'm going through all the Craigslist. I'm looking at all the houses. I'm contacting different people, and I'm not liking anything I'm seeing. If I'm going to move into some place, I'm calling places, booking appointments for today, Saturday. I'm telling people, like, I'm just coming to look. But I was doing it mostly for my son. I'm looking around the neighborhood where my son's school's at. And even though the school's a good school, the neighborhood isn't quite, it's not quite what I wanted, okay? There's a lot of, there's a lot of renters and stuff like that. And it's not a good neighborhood to raise kids. Some nice houses, but it's kind of hard. And still the price was a little bit expensive. And then guess what? Out of the blue, I see this one listing, and it's in a really nice neighborhood. Not where I'm at, but where my aunt lives. Multi-million-dollar houses, okay? Golf courses, very brand new neighborhood, new money, like new young families, very, very nice, okay? One of the most famous private schools is right there. And for the last 2 years since I came back to Vancouver, every time I visited my aunt's house, because she does well in real estate, it's like a massive dream building. Like I drive into our neighborhood, multi-million-dollar houses, huge 8,000, 10,000 square foot houses, okay? With swimming pools and things like that. And I drive around a neighborhood and I dream build, and I'm like, I'm gonna move here. I'm gonna move to this neighborhood, right? I'm gonna take my kids, and nothing wrong with the neighborhood my parents raised us and stuff like that, but it's suburbia, it's very average. But this is like upper. I mean, like this is like lower high class kind of thing, right? And so I love that whole neighborhood. And for 2 years, I put up my dream board and I talked about it. I'm gonna figure a way to send my kids to that private school. Well, we haven't got to that part of the story yet. My kids are not gonna go to that private school, not right now, right? But guess what? Out of all the listings, the 100 listings I spent the whole last 2 days looking at, I find this one, right? And it's out of my budget. It's way too luxurious, right? But it just looked good, right? So I thought to myself, you know what, there's a bit of space in the time today. I need to kill about 2 hours. I contacted this guy, went out to see his place. But as I went out to see his place, I refreshed the screen on my phone, and I noticed that there was a new listing. There was actually 2 other listings. One was a completely out of my reach house, and another one, okay, this guy was advertising, and I was like, oh my God, that's like totally within my budget. That's right dead center, like literally 5 minutes walk from this private school and about a 10-minute walk to the public school, okay, for the elementary. And so I went out to check it out. This guy needed to get rid of the existing, tenant and stuff like that. And it's a beautiful house, beautiful place and everything. And I'm like, we went there and the deal was literally done in 5 minutes. Like this guy works for the fraud department in Canada, works with the courts and stuff like that. Right across the street, RCMP, which is the police and stuff like that. So it's a very good, safe neighborhood. Kids, they got kids as well, all kinds of things. So like the neighbors, 4-year-old, 5-year-old kids, very, very nice upper neighborhood. Very happy. Immediately cut him a check, wrote a deposit. The deal was done, right? So that long story I just shared with you is a setback turning into a comeback. Now, how did I do that, right? You might be asking. Was that a coincidence? Did I have some magical powers? Maybe I did. Maybe I'm a Jedi. Maybe I'm an alien, right? I'm like Justin Vernon, the Jedi, the hippie Jedi. You never know, right? Maybe I'm an X-Man. I'm a mutant. Maybe I'm from the Matrix, right? And Yulia's laughing because we have these kind of fun conversations all the time. Regardless of what you believe, guys, I came from a Christian background as well. So, I do thank God, and I do feel extremely grateful and blessed. Whatever terminology suits you. Just know that when you have either faith or belief that things are going to work out, okay, if I want to give you one magic sauce you can take away with today, no matter how down and out you are, no matter how dismal your life looks, no matter how hopeless your life looks, there is hope. Just believe. Find something to believe in, whether it's in religion, in God, or if you're a big believer of law of attraction and esoteric stuff, in the universe, and align with that belief. Many times we have dream boards, we have these pictures, and we ask, you know, God, please give me this, and why am I not making more money, and all kinds of stuff. You're asking for all those things, but you're not aligning with it because you don't really believe. Your faith is a little bit weak, right? And that's kind of a strong statement to say, right? You're like, well, you can say that, Desmond. You don't know me. You don't know the troubles I've been through. Trust me, I know some stuff, right? So without further ado, because I gave you guys kind of like an extra bonus story here, trust me, you want to stick to the end of this whole webinar, even if we're going to go into a bit of overtime, because I'm going to share with you guys some really good value here. And I'm going to pass the mic back to Yulia as well, because I'm really proud of her. She's a rising star, you know, an emerging leader here. Her life is so much more different than a year ago. And I want to also point out here, guys, pay attention to the verbiage we're using here and the story, okay? I want you guys to understand that this is not a quick get-rich solution that we're presenting to you here. Our story, why we spend so much time on the story side of things, is that we want you to understand that we're normal people just like you. We have hardships. Yulia's house burned down. Doctors told me 5 years ago I'm gonna die. I was owing the mafia, right? Things happen, shit happens in people's lives, okay? Many times out of our control, and some things within our control. So what I encourage you to do, if you can write this down, is just go ahead and write this down, okay? Yulia, you write this down as well. Write this down and say, I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life. All right, I'm just gonna give you a second to write that down. I take 100% full responsibility for everything that happened in my life. So if it's Yulia's case with the, the scoliosis, that so be it, right? One of my mentors, the multi-millionaire mentor, he has multiple sclerosis, right? The MS, right? And his brother died from it. He was on the verge of dying from it, but he took responsibility for it, and he actually started changing his lifestyle and things like that, and he's super healthy. Thank you, Yulia.
Desmond, I just want to show you that I actually did write it down.
That is awesome, awesome.
So you guys do the same.
There's something really magical, guys. I want to share with you another tip that you can go away with. And Yulia and me learned this from a similar mentor as well, who's not really active in our life right now, but he did leave tons of nuggets of gold with us. If you ever get a chance, write with a blue pen on white paper. Don't ask me why. There's some esoteric stuff to that. You might think it's snake oil or whatever you want.
I can tell you why.
What's that?
I can tell you why on this psych background here.
We'll get into it. It's better we don't spill the beans.
Okay, we'll wait till the end. How about that?
You gotta come in the circle. They have to, we have to make sure we're communicating with the right people here. Just to be all mysterious and woo, freak you guys out. That's why I'm wearing a blue shirt right now. I'm kidding. Blue's my color. It's just I just love blue. And so blue ink, white paper. Okay, and the whole psychology stuff. She's a psych major, so she can explain to you about the whole psychology and the writing versus typing stuff out and all stuff. The synapses built in your brain and all kind of stuff, and how it's very cathartic, and stuff like that to write things out. If you've got issues in your life, you want to turn your setbacks into comebacks. One of the first things you can do that's super healing and helps to remove blocks is write it out. Write out what's bugging you and burn it. Seriously, go burn it. Right? Give it away. Give it to God. Give it to the universe. Forgive and let go. Write out whatever, if someone hurt you in your life, if you had debts, if you feel like, betrayed, anything, whatever it was, okay? If you felt embarrassed, if you felt ashamed, if you felt any of the negative feelings in your life, write it out as clear as you can, and then put it in like a bin or something, a metal bin, obviously a fireproof bin, and take a lighter and just light it. Have a little ceremony to yourself. Have a cry out, if you're, I know a lot of the ladies, they're more emotionally expressive, so they have a cry. I've seen guys cry. A good friend of ours, Dave Wood, I've watched him cry, like bawl his eyes out like a baby, right? And he had to let go of someone he really was feeling very angry towards. And in doing that, all of a sudden, boom, his business blew up. Things just started like exploding and just doing very well. And people constantly hurt him because he's in a very high position. And when you start to rise as a leader, people around you tend to hurt you. People tend to, but you just have to let them go. People are people. They've got their own mission, their own things in life. So I'm teaching you guys things here in this webinar about how to turn your setbacks into comebacks, right? I think this is one of the reasons Yulia and me hang out so much. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to show you some fun stuff as well, too, okay? So let me just do the screen share and just quickly get into my slideshow here. And I'll cut out some stuff if I don't think it's necessary for you guys to see, because we'll just speed it up a bit, right? Actually, I don't have to do that. I can just stop the screen share. I can do the screen share right into, stand by here, guys. This thing's not popping up fast enough. There we go. It's like this, it's moving really slow here. And I just want to make sure, share screen, go into the presentation. Here we go. All right, so you guys can probably see the presentation here, right? The PowerPoint. See, this is why Macs are much nicer. So much easier to do. All right, so turning setbacks into comebacks, that's kind of my slogan. That is my slogan. In fact, that's going to be the title of my book. It's already being prepared and stuff like my first book. So, you know, when it does release, if you guys want a copy of that, let me know. Maybe send me an email or ask Yulia. I'll put you guys on the list, and I'll send you a free copy, autograph free copy, just for being cool, for supporting. You know, and you guys can say we got the first edition, the first publication, signed and autographed by Desmond, if that will make you feel cool. Probably be a book valued around about $25, you know, at Amazon or whatever and stuff like that. And I'll give it to you guys free, hardcover, right? So who's the first person you think of when you hear the word success? Pause and actually think about that for a second, right? If you got your pencil and paper, your pen and paper, your blue ink, write it down. Who is the first person you think of when you hear the word success?
You.
Right. Oh, thanks, Julia. I appreciate that. I mean, in our lives, everyone does. You think of Steve Jobs, you think of, you know, Oprah Winfrey, you think of, you know, there's role models, actors, musicians. We think of all kinds of, some people even think of their mom, their dad. You know, I love my dad very much. You know, and I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was even mentored by Robert Kiyosaki and stuff like that. But when I was going through that at that time, I started feeling kind of like this embarrassment of my parents, because I was like, well, they're kind of like suburbia, you know. And then when I went through my setbacks, you know, and I'm down at the very lowest level, I'm crawling back to them and begging them, right? So there was arrogance at one point when I was kind of like living in Japan. I was like, I thought I was better than my parents, you know, and I was like, oh, they're just like suburbia, you know, they'll always be like, you know, mid-income range kind of thing, whereas I'm going to be a millionaire, right? That was arrogance. That was like youthful arrogance and ego. So I don't recommend you guys do that. But my parents, I love them. I think my mom and dad are successful at their level, you know. They could be more successful, but I think they're happy where they are. Okay, so number 2 here, write this down. What is the biggest mistake you have made in your life so far? And guys, by the way, you're only allowed one, okay? If you're someone like me who's got a lot, just try to write down the biggest one you have. Think of the biggest one you've had and write it down, okay? Give you a second to do that. All right, so the biggest mistake you've made in your life so far. Okay, now here's the next part. And what lesson did you learn from that mistake / failure, right? Think about it. Just think about it for a second. What lesson did you learn from that? Everything has a lesson, no matter what. Even in my biggest failures, my you know, arguments with my parents, my wife, you know, on the verge of divorce. Julia, can you mute your mic for a second? I'm getting a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I'll mute it right now.
That's all right. So, you know, and what lesson can you learn from it? When I went bankrupt, well, I had other things as well, right? So moving on. Okay, so here's my story. Okay, so this is a picture of Singapore. That's the Marina Bay Sands over there, you know, and the big like Ferris wheel and the fireworks. So my story is pretty simple, but it involves travel. I was born in Singapore in the late 1970s, where I spent the first 12 years of my life living. Right, so we grew up in a pretty strict country, right? The whole like no spitting, no bubble gum, you know, we'll fine you. Come into the country with 1 gram of marijuana, we'll hang you. You know, it's very, very strict country, right? Very clean, you know, very organized, very small country. Was worried about its neighbors, Muslim country neighbors, you know, invading it. It's a very rich country and has gone on to do very well, right? But we moved to Vancouver, and we did that because my dad loved the Pacific Northwest. My dad worked with Singapore Airlines, and he traveled a lot to Boeing in Seattle, not too far from Vancouver, and he really fell in love with the Pacific Northwest. My dad loves the outdoors. He was a scout, you know, all this kind of thing, Boy Scout, and then when he was younger. He's a photographer, likes to take nature shots and stuff like that. So loves being out and about in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Okay, and so at that time we could not get into the States, but Canada opened its doors to immigrants who had skill sets, right? Either you had a professional skill set, a license, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, all those kind of, you know, educated, you know, professionals, or you had money. If you had like $1 million and you invested in like, you know, the Canadian bank and stuff like that, they would grant you permanent residence in Vancouver. Super easy, right? in Canada. So a lot of immigrants came over in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, from Hong Kong. A lot of Cantonese Asians came over. A couple of Koreans started coming over. The East Indians from India, started coming over in droves. The Sikhs, the Hindis, they started coming over. So I grew up in Vancouver, and I became a pilot at the age of 16, and I worked in the hospitality industry as well, which I'll tell you a bit of that story. I worked around a lot of very wealthy, rich people. And being the middle of 3 children, I was obviously the black sheep of the family and the entrepreneur, right? So, I was always the guy with the crazy ideas, right? My brother, being the oldest one, was the grumpy, quiet, serious one, with responsibility, having to look after me. And the baby sister, who's 10 years younger than us, she's the, she was the baby, the spoiled one, and she's the daughter. So she would go to my dad. Like, my brother and me would get whipped, right? We get like the belt and stuff. We did stuff bad. We get the back of the hand from my mom or whatever, or the shoe or something. My mom would throw a chair or something sometimes. And my baby sister, she'd be like, "Daddy, can I get some shoes?" And yeah, sure. So I was the middle one. So that meant that I did things the legal and illegal way in my younger days. And, just because I was a get it done kind of guy, right? Sort of guy, just to make money. And I had to learn the hard way, right? So, I'll share with you guys something that I don't normally share on many webcasts and stuff like that. It's kind of a funny story. You guys might think I'm crazy, but, one of the first entrepreneurial endeavors I had, guys. And Yulia, by the way, just unmute yourself if you see comments, or if you think, I need to speed up or whatever, just pipe in, or if you have any questions, because I can't see any comments or questions. I'm just looking at my screen. And
Sounds good.
So yeah. And what happened was, so I was in junior high school, new to Canada. I was seeking acceptance. I had peer pressure. I wanted to be accepted. So I was in grade 9, 14 years old. A couple of my friends, took me out, and we were hanging out at the back of the school in the park somewhere, and they pulled out this little paper, this little rolly paper, and put some green stuff that looked like moss in it, and rolled it up, right? And I was like, "Ooh, what's that? Is that a cigarette or something?" And I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, you smoked this before, right? As you know what this stuff is." I'm like, "Oh yeah, totally, man. Yeah, I've been smoking that shit for a long time, right? Yeah, I'm cool with it, man. You guys are lightweights. I'm the heavyweight here. So trying to be all tough and cool." So they passed it over to me, and I'm like, take a nice good, oh shit, this is good shit, man. And so that was my introduction to marijuana, right? And I'm not condoning it, though I know there's a lot of modern new discussions now about the benefits of cannabis and THC and all kind of things like that. Very new age movement stuff there. And so I just follow the law right now, and if it's illegal, then it's illegal. And I don't condone any stuff like that, right? I'm just sharing with you my personal story, okay? So that you guys can relate with it, or take some nuggets of gold with you, okay? So I did that, and then at that time, what happened was my friends were buying individually, right? So I was like, dudes, what are you doing? Give me your money, give me your money. It's like, go to person A, B, C, D, E, and I'd be like, give me your money, give me your $15 for your gram, give me and I'd accumulate all the money, and I would go buy wholesale and sell retail. How cool is that, right? How cool is that? That was the first entrepreneurial thing I was doing. I didn't even know.
I stole stickers in elementary school. I made my own stickers, and I just sold them.
I know. I'm sure everyone's done the lemonade stand or the garage sale. And when I was in Singapore at that time, before we even moved to Canada, I went around and collected phone books when the phone books were about to get renewed and stuff. Back in the day, yeah, we had phone books. Public pay phones everywhere. No one had cell phones back then. Not even the brick, right? I mean, we had payphones. I carried quarters or 20 cents and stuff in Singapore to put into a payphone to tell my parents I'm coming home from school and stuff like that. There were payphones everywhere, right? And so every payphone had a yellow pages or white pages, and periodically the government would change those, and I would go around with my uncle's truck and collect all those payphone books, take it down to the industrial area where the recycler they pack up the containers to send off to other countries like India and all that for recycling, and we would sell it to them by weight. And I would get paid something like 5 cents per telephone book, right? And so I'm pretty sure we collected a lot, and I'd make say $50 after a whole weekend of collecting telephone books from my local neighborhood in all the apartments, the flats and stuff, and going from door to door to apartments, and just getting as much and loading up his pickup truck. And we drove down there, and they'd weigh it out and stuff like that on a whole pallet worth of phone books. That's a lot. That's very, very heavy. And then they'd pay us, maybe paid $50, give my uncle some gas money, and I got to keep $25. as like my pocket money, right? And $25, like back then when I was like 8 years old, was like a lot of money, right? I could buy a damn lot of like bubble gum and like, you know, ice candy and whatever, you know, like the Slurpee stuff, whatever, right? Back then it was like 25 cents you could get an ice cream, right? You know, ice cream popsicle stick or whatever, right? So that was my life, right? Then what happened was this got me in trouble more than once, but on the other hand, it also got me to really want to be successful and seek out proper mentors. Like around 16, like I told you, I got in trouble with the law, right? I got arrested and stuff like that. It was a you know, a Young Offenders Act and stuff, and so I do appreciate the Canadian system, the judicial system, and I do tip my hat off to them. I know everyone says they hate the cops all the time, and you know, damn pigs, you know, pulling over and giving you tickets and stuff like that, right? Forgive me and all my RCMP friends out there, you know. It is a pain in the butt sometimes, but they are keeping. We're blessed to live in Canada or in North America and live in a very safe place. Okay, there are worse places in the world where there's all kinds of people getting murdered and killed, and you know, and just really lawless, you know, society. So feel blessed wherever you are. Okay, stop bitching and complaining about the cops. They are doing a good job from time to time. From time to time, there's a couple of good ones out there. There's a couple of corrupt ones as well, right? I've run into both. But so I got in trouble, and then it was a wake up call. Okay, so true story here. When I got arrested that time, I'd never seen my dad ever cry, right? Remember, I'll tell you about how stoic my dad is. I'd never seen my dad cry. And that morning when I was pulled down to the police station, I was arrested, fingerprinted and everything, and they did release me to my dad. And then, you know, set up for the court dates and stuff like that. My dad drove home, and I've never seen my dad more sad. He never even cried when my grandfather died. His dad died. You know, he didn't shed a tear, right? Extremely stoic guy. But I saw my dad like in tears. He was so disappointed in me. And at 16 years old, that was a big wake up call, right? And I'm 30 years old. Why am I telling you the story now, guys? Because you got to pay attention to this. This is the story. It's not just my life. It's probably the story of many of your lives, right? It was a wake up call for me to want to smarten up. So that's when I became a pilot. That's when I started working really hard. That's when I worked at McDonald's. I became the youngest manager in British Columbia. You know, at the age of 16, I was awarded a title that most people probably in their like 20s and stuff, people out of school start to get, right? So it was an amazing title to get from corporate McDonald's. I'm not condoning McDonald's food either. Back then I used to eat a lot of it. Ooh, now I don't know if I could even get into a McDonald's and survive. But you know, we live and learn, right? And so all those things happened, and I started surrounding myself with really successful mentors. Okay, at the age of about 18, 19, I was invited to like a guild of all these mentors that got together, and they weren't, you know, they came from different backgrounds: real estate, architect, engineers, like mechanical engineers, and a couple of them were in network marketing, just like Yulia mentioned as well, right? And so I was really drawn to the network marketing guys, the MLM guys, the pyramid scheme guys, as some people would say, right? The Amway. Right, I was attracted to Amway. You guys are laughing right now. Anyone watching this? I was attracted to Amway, but I love the lifestyles. I watch these diamonds, the so-called people, the millionaires and stuff, husbands and wives. You know, they get up on stage. I attended the events. You know, and I actually did quite well in Amway. Believe it or not, in my early 18, 19, 20, I actually had a sizable team of young people and a couple of married couples as well. Can you imagine that? An 18-year-old mentoring a married couple with a grown son. Right? I mean, these guys were like in their 45, 50s, whatever, you know, I think 50s, and they listened to me, their mentor back then, right? So I found that I was really, really passionate about helping people, you know, and I did study a bit. I went to business school. I was taking my pilot's license, and I dropped out. I dropped out of university, guys. I'm not even a college graduate. Okay, believe it or not. And you guys will think that's kind of weird because I worked at Goldman Sachs. I went to Japan, different things like that. How did I pull that off? I worked with all the Fortune 500 companies, all the Ivy Leagues, the Harvards of Japan and stuff like that. You know, my wife, even that I married, she graduated from Beijing University. That is like the Harvard of like China, and she's not even Chinese. She's Korean, so she speaks 4 languages. How did I attract a woman like that to be my wife? You know, maybe I'm just a fast talker. Maybe I'm good looking. I don't know, right? They call me Desmond. So, you know, fast forwarding a bit, after finding some successful business mentors, okay, these guys actually flew into Vancouver in private jets. I still got great memories of that. Keep in touch with a couple of them in my late teens and experiencing some small success, right? I decided to travel to Japan, and I fell in love with the culture and the business city of Tokyo in my early 20s. Now, part of this was spurred on, you know, right on, do you guys remember 9/11? Do you guys actually remember the story of, like, you know, what happened? Do you remember the morning of 9/11 when you turned on the TV and you saw the news and you saw that second plane going to second tower, right? You know, and thinking like World War III has just started. I mean, like, it wasn't that long ago, was it? You know, and I do, every time I tell this story, I always say how much my heart goes out to the families and the of the people who lost loved ones or whose lives were permanently changed because of that. You can tell I'm getting all choked up, right? I mean, that was a really emotional time, right? So if you guys can remember that, well, that's when I moved out to Japan. I moved out literally right after 9/11 in 2002. That happened September 11, 2001. I went to Japan for the first time as a vacation to meet a friend out there, a girl that I met in Vancouver. You know, no strings attached, just someone I kind of liked. We had a fondness. We dated a bit when she was in Vancouver. Then she went back to Japan, so I wasn't willing to do a long distance thing. Went out to visit her at the advice of one of my best friends, who advised me not to go like Thailand or not to go to like Bali, not to do like the typical thing that typical people around that age were doing, you know, smoking weed and just getting drunk or stoned or whatever, and just being like a hippie bum or whatever. At that time, he was like, Desmond, you have this entrepreneurial spirit. Why don't you go like somewhere that has like a business city? Go expand your horizons, right? So I went out to Japan and I visited this girl and I fell in love with the city. And her as well, right? I mean, you know, we hit it off, and she became like a girlfriend of mine. And I came back to Vancouver, and then I found a way to get out to Japan within a few months, and I stayed there. Right? I went there. I said goodbye to everything back in Vancouver. I sold my car. I was big into the racing, the car racing, the Rice Rockets, the Integras, the Hondas, the Subarus, all that kind of stuff, right? All the import cars. And I said goodbye to all of that in Vancouver, right? And I started a new chapter in my life. And so for some of you guys, maybe you're watching this webinar, and you know, we've gone on for quite a while now, but maybe that just might be where you're at in your life right now. You might need to just shed everything, give up everything, get into a suitcase and just go. Get out of where you're at. Change your entire surroundings. Change everything. You know, historically speaking, the wealthy of the world have always been jet setters. Now, I say wealth, they weren't always jet setters before their wealth. I mean, after they became wealthy. Many of them might have been jet setters, and that's what made them wealthy. Okay, I'll give you some examples. Like one thing that comes to mind, like a Hollywood example. I like movies. Okay, I don't watch regular TV. I watch documentaries and movies and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's one of my hobbies, right? Think of Braveheart. If you've never seen the movie, it's a Mel Gibson movie. Maybe that shows how old I am. But, you know, for you youngers, you know, born in the 90s, you might not even know Braveheart. But in that movie, when his dad was killed and he was orphaned, his uncle came to pick him up, and his uncle took him to travel around Europe. That's where he learned multiple languages. He became very educated, knew mathematics, all kinds of different things, and strategies. And that's how he became a really good general and leader. Give me a second, guys. Let me take a drink here. Okay, and so what happened was William Wallace, right? And he comes back, and you know, you can read up the whole story of William Wallace, but he had traveled the world, and in doing that, it expanded his horizon. So when he returned to Scotland, he was much more educated. He was able to lead people. He was able to get more worldly wisdom, and so he became a better leader, right? And so I went, you know, for the first time, I went out to Japan, and I didn't plan to stay there for 12 years, but I planned at least 5. Right? I knew that from immigrating to Canada, it would take about 5 years to assimilate, to learn the language, to know the people, to kind of build up a base. And if I was going to come back to Vancouver, I was going to come back better than when I left. I promised myself, I sold my really nice car. I was like, when I come back, I'm not buying anything lesser than that car. It better be a better car, right? So that's the irony of the story when you hear about how bad I was beat up when I came back, right? So 12 years goes by. I worked in corporate jobs, right? So I was actually working as a consultant. I did sales, then I worked as a consultant. And so I consulted at many of the big Fortune 500 companies, all the American, all the European, all the foreign affiliate companies that had bases and headquarters or hubs in Asia, in Japan, in Tokyo. And I don't know if you guys realize it, but it's like New York or like Paris or like London. Right? There's a lot of big companies, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Lehman Brothers, you know, McKinsey, Accenture, you know, you name all the big firms, the big oil companies, BHP Billiton, Rio Tinto, you know, the giants, okay, IBM, you know, all these different things that are there, right? You know, McDonald's Japan and stuff like that, all huge companies, but they were like foreign affiliate companies. So I worked for these companies, and I coached in these companies, and I was doing instruction and stuff like that. And then I ventured to start up my own companies. I was even able to raise $500,000 of investors' money at the age of 28 for my first business. And it was a crazy jewelry brand catering to the elite and celebrities, socializing and partying, right? Can you guys guess what that jewelry brand is, right? I'll tell you one day when you guys, if you're plugged in with Yulia or myself or anyone who invited you to this call, make sure you get back to that person. If you guys do plug in and you get part of our mentorship program and we teach you, you start to become part of our team, I'll tell you what kind of jewelry it was. Okay, it'll blow your mind. You'll probably have a good laugh and snicker about it as well. Okay, but yeah, you can see that's probably about, I don't know, that was probably a day when I had about each one of those bills is probably about $100. Okay, like in I know it looks big because it's like Japanese yen is like 10,000, right? Like, ooh, that's a lot of money. But that was probably just about, I don't know, like close to like it was probably close to about like $2,000-3,000 there, right?
Hey Desmond, are you screen sharing by any chance?
I am. Are you not seeing it?
No, we're not.
You guys are not seeing this? So
I thought you were just giving us a show here.
So do you not see my presentation right now?
I'm not seeing it, so that's why I thought I'd just pause you right there because you're like talking about something you can see and I can't see it. So
yeah, exactly, because I've got a whole slideshow here and no one told me that I've been going through. So you see goof ups like this happen, guys. Let me just do something here. I'm just gonna do.
You're entertaining, nevertheless.
There you go. How about I just do this? I'll do the desktop, and then what I'll do is I'm gonna go just double check to see if people can actually see what, because I can just click on this and see what everyone's seeing, just to double check it. How about I just and let me just hit the live button here. Just double check this. There we go. I can see my own Facebook there. So why don't I just do this and I jump into the keynote, which is where I was at. Are you seeing this now, Yulia? Tell me if you're seeing the
Yes, I even got married.
Yeah, you see that? Okay. So for you guys, there's the money picture.
Oh.
There's all these other things I was talking about. There's the me with the getting arrested. There's me, the black sheep, right? There's my picture of Vancouver. There's Singapore. Right? And those are the questions I asked you guys at the beginning. That's my, okay, so I'm just gonna skip through this real fast and get back down here and hit the play button, right? So tell me you're seeing this right now.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on, right? So, and once again, guys, if you're considering doing what I'm doing and having this kind of lifestyle, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be techie. I didn't know how to do any of this kind of things 2 years ago. I just learned over the last 2 years, just like you learn at your job, just like you learn at university. You didn't go into university knowing quantum physics. You didn't know about psychology. You just learned along the 2, 3 years, 4 years in university. It's no different, okay? So anyone who comes to me and says, I'm not techie, Desmond, I don't know how to do stuff, you will learn. I don't know anything before I went to university either. You will learn. I did not know how to fly planes before I took pilot training, and spent over like, what was it, close to like $40,000 on pilot training, right? You will learn. Okay, so moving back here, so I even got married, and both, my workaholic entrepreneurial wife and I worked at high-end Fortune 500 corporate jobs while we opened up, because we moonlit, right? As entrepreneurs, we need to have stable income while starting our business. Can you imagine how much this restaurant cost me? This is one of my restaurants that I opened. It cost another $500,000. So I just told you I had a jewelry business for $500,000 that went bankrupt. And then we opened up another restaurant, so I had to raise another $500,000. So that's already $1 million of investors' money and about close to $200,000 of my own money, my wife and my own money. Okay, our family money. And we're a young couple. She's pregnant with our first baby, right? And that's $200,000 of our life savings going into things like this, plus talking to investors and promising them they'll get a return and we'll pay them back. We didn't go to the banks. We went to private investors, angels. Right? And as if that was not enough, we had 2 young babies at the same time. There's a beautiful picture of my wife there and myself walking in Ginza, right? It's the high-end district of Tokyo, one of the high-end districts, right? I even went on to launch a talent booking agency dealing with top entertainers from the US. And yes, that is me with Little John. Some of you guys might know who Little John is, the whole shot, right? And many more others like Quincy Jones, Pitbull, and stuff like that. Some of them I can't put their pictures up, obviously, for legal reasons and things like that. But I talked to Little John. I'm cool with him. I can show you guys more stuff. If you guys just go to my Facebook page, you'll see pictures I posted in some albums. That basically you'll see us partying, and I basically was a talent booking agent, so we took care of them, brought them to for tours in Asia, so like the Korea, the Seoul, Tokyo, Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Beijing tour, Shanghai tour kind of thing. We organized stuff like that, multi-million-dollar, right? We played around that. So now bear with me, okay? The story gets even more interesting, and trust me, you want to stick to the end. Even after all we had, we were far from happy. Okay, guys, so you might think, wow, you're living the pretty lavish, nice, I was in my early 30s, young, late 20s, early 20s, early 30s, making lots of money, right? All our problems kept building up like a volcano, having small eruptions leading up to the big one, right? The stress, right? The life that we led, oh my God, like 18-hour days, right? You know, the lack of money, the late nights, the lying to each other. My wife and me, even we were fiancé at the time that we got married, you know, like, but we were lying to each other. I'm not going to go into all the details there. You know, the 18-hour work days, 7 days a week, because when you own restaurants or you own businesses, you're working 7 days a week. So being fanatical workaholics, our brand new babies having to grow up with a full-time nanny. Okay, we had to hire a full-time nanny, and the kids barely saw us. Okay, and when they did, we were exhausted, stressed, or fighting, right? In fact, we were on the verge of divorce and saying the most hurtful things to each other. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if any people watching this and you're a lovebird and you're fairly new and young and stuff like that, and you guys are, you know, it's not the reason why you guys got together. You guys got together because you loved each other, because you guys wanted to be around each other all the time. And trust me, at this time in my life, when we were there, we were so disgusted to be around each other. It was hard to breathe being in the same room. It was such an uncomfortable tension. You know, I could not, and I felt sad. I felt disappointed. I felt heartbroken, because that's not what I wanted, right, in my life. If that's you and you're nodding your head, just pay attention, okay? So it took a massive toll on both of us. That's when we jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire, as if things were not bad enough. My God, you guys going like, oh my God, Desmond, you're making me all depressed listening to your story. At our breaking point, my wife on the verge of bankruptcy, the restaurant about to be shut down because of all the leakages, the sewer leakages and stuff, because of the poor construction, her suing the construction company suing her back, right? You know, I lost our last bit of money in a Ponzi. Oh my God, guys. You want to talk about Murphy's Law here? You know, my business partner in my office was this young trader from JP Morgan, and I really liked him. I took him under my wing. I brought him into my office. I shared my office with him. He set up his own little trading firm, you know, his own little two-man team, and he was actually making quite a bit of money, and it seemed like making money. I had no idea he was actually scamming people, whatever. And what happened was I made some cash, you know, cash. I was flush with cash, and I needed cash flow. I needed cash flow to supplement my wife, because we were fighting so much, and I just wanted to be the hero for my wife. And even though we were fighting, you know, and I was watching her be very heartbroken that her business was going down the drain and she was losing shitloads of money. I'd already been there and I knew the feeling. I still love my wife and I still wanted to help her. So I did whatever it took to get some money. And I'm talking like taking the $80,000 that I had, right, and putting it into an investment, hoping to get like a monthly dividends, right, like a cash flow of like $6,000 to $8,000 a month. Because our living expenses in Japan, okay, in Tokyo, in the heart of Tokyo, in the condominiums we lived in that had like ambassadors from like, you know, embassies living in, the Saudi embassy, okay, they had a cultural attaché living in on the penthouse in our condominium. Just imagine what kind of condominium that is, where an embassy puts their, you know, their cultural attaché on the penthouse. I mean, it's extremely wealthy, nice, lavish. If you're from Vancouver, it'd be like the stuff down on Georgia in like Yaletown, whatever, right? We lived in a nice place. And our living expenses were $12,000 a month. Not $1,200, $12,000 a month. Parking lot cost $600 just for one parking lot, and we had two, right? So can you imagine just a parking space was $600, right? Some people pay rent $600, right? So that was the lifestyle we had. And when the money dried up, when my partner lost my money and my wife was bankrupt, I basically, in desperation, borrowed from the Japanese mafia, aka the Yakuza, right? You can see the one guy in the picture there, he's got no finger, right? He's got cut off in order to maintain our lifestyle and our living expenses. And it's very, very true. These guys are very real, okay? They look like normal businessmen. They're, you know, they could look like a CEO of a company, whatever, but these guys are real guys. And I got to know them because of the music industry and because they owned the nightclubs and the venues that we used to go to. And, you know, eventually you had to somehow or other line their pockets. Otherwise, you could not use their venue, the most famous nightclub, or you couldn't use that big stadium to put on a concert if you did not take care of them first, their interests, or you did not use their companies, their security companies, their distribution companies, their promotion companies. They had to make profit in some way, right? And so I knew these guys, and when I was really hurting for cash, I went to a couple of them and I borrowed money. It's as simple as that. My pride got in the way. I did not want to lower my lifestyle. I was too egotistical. And what I did was to try to remain and look like the hero of my family, I borrowed money. But it was a very short-term strategy that ended up backfiring on me. So I even had to steal diapers from the supermarket because we were so far in debt. Can you imagine being that, being that posh CEO, doing all that multi-million-dollar businesses and all the deals, and having to do the stupidest thing, like steal, like shoplift from a supermarket, a 24-hour supermarket. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in my suit. That was the kind of times I would come home from work, right? And my wife texted me and said, go pick up some diapers. And I was like, shit, we're down to our last like $400, right? I cannot bring myself, and we're late 3 months rent, where, things that were being evicted every day, the doors being knocked on, right? All kinds of shit, all kinds of stress, man, how am I gonna do this? And I went into the supermarket and I stole diapers. Diapers, guys, which probably cost like $12 or something. And I took 2 bags and I walked out. And there was a security guard, and I just thank goodness I dressed well and everything. And so maybe he just saw me as this, late night CEO guy, whatever. And so he didn't question me. I just walked out, didn't ask to see a receipt or anything, right? Because like the big bags, the diapers, they don't really put into plastic bags, right? They might just put a little piece of tape on it, whatever, right? And so I just walked out, and I think he didn't even check to see if there was tape on it. And I got away with it. But what happened was, I got to the car and I sat in the car. I just was in massive disbelief. I was like, oh my God, what a loser I am, being this banged up, this beat up in my life. What did I do wrong? And do you see the energy I was in, guys, at the time? I was blaming everyone. I was blaming my business partners. I was blaming my wife. I was blaming the economy. I was blaming every single person except myself. So that's when I really started to realize, and I remember one of his mentors telling me, take 100% full responsibility for your life, right? So I really wanted to find a way to make money, to pay off debts, right? Win my wife back and be at home with my kids, right? And just be that hero for my family again, guys. I just wanted to be that hero, right? I'd already enjoyed the lavish lifestyles. I'd already been in all the eyes wide shut sex parties. I'd been with the drugs, and I'd been around I worked at Goldman Sachs. I'd been around all the, made a 6-figure income and stuff like that. Corporate job, beautiful people driving Ferraris, coming to work and stuff, right? Like just like you see in the movie, The Boiler Room, that kind of stuff. Right? I've been there, been around rich people, very wealthy people that own yachts and stuff, private jets. But all I wanted right now, I could not even focus on that. All I wanted was stability in my life, right? I just wanted to be the hero for my family again. Okay? And guess what? To add to that, doctors also told me I got sick. I was hospitalized from all the stress and stuff like that. Really, really high stress, to the point of like making myself ill. Right? High fevers and everything. I was in the hospital, and the doctors were doing all kinds of tests on me, precautionary tests and stuff like that. And they discovered a condition which it's quite rare and stuff like that, but they discovered a condition, and they're like, the likelihood of you living for more than another 10 years is quite slim. So just think about that, guys. You just got told you got another 10 more years to live. Your wife just gave birth to your first son and is pregnant with the second son. You're not going to live to see your children get more than 10 years old. Let that settle in, guys, no matter what problems you have right now. Now, I know some people, I've had some friends that have been told they got cancer or something. They got like a year to live, right? So it's even worse. And so many of them have actually pulled out of it, and some haven't, okay? So we've lost friends and stuff like that. Rest in peace. But I want you just to really, really chew down on that one, okay? That's where I was at. And in all my life, one of my dreams, my number one dreams was to be a good dad, to be the hero of my family, to be for my kids and be there for my wife and be romantic and all kind of stuff. And I'm being told that I'm not going to live another 10 more years. Now, that was 5 years ago. I'm still healthy, right? Because I made it a mission. I grit my teeth. See, it's at times like that, guys. It's at times like that in your life that you have to not feel sorry for yourself, because I did. I was so blown away when I found out that information. I wanted to vomit for days, for weeks. It didn't go away. The depression stuck around. The stress, that worriedness, stuck around for weeks, months, right? And then something happened during that time, and I pulled myself together, and I decided to live. I decided that I'm not going to let that get the better of me. Fuck that shit. Screw the swearing word. Sorry. But, I was so angry. So I went from depression to anger, right? And I was like, no, I'm not going to let that happen to me. Right? So it was around that time when I was owing all that money, to the mafia. This shit was happening in my life. My wife and me on the verge of divorce. She's so stressed out in debt and being sued that she's planning to walk out on the kids and me, right? And that's when one of my business mentors said to me, Desmond, I'm not going to give you a fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish. And so now starts the story of success, guys. And bear with me because we're almost wrapping up here. That was 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, in October of 2013. At the very worst point, when I had only 2 days left to pay the mafia, okay, 80,000 US dollars. And you tell me if you can just pick up the phone right now, if wherever you are, and just ask someone to lend you $80,000. $80,000, $80,000, okay? And they can transfer it by bank transfer to you in the next 2 days. No one, very few people, even you ask your parents to refinance their house or whatever, people don't really, I don't know how many of you know people that have got that much bags of cash in their like safety deposit box that they can transfer money. And even if they do, the transfer takes a couple of days, 5 business days, you know, to TT transfer such a big amount and stuff like that, right? There's holding times and stuff like that. So can you imagine the stress I was in that day? Well, I contacted a mentor, and he was the one person I knew who was a self-made millionaire, and I was beating around the bush, basically on the phone, on the verge of tears, to beg him and just say, can you please lend me that money? I'm good for it. I'll pay you back, right? Just, I need some time. And what he did was he told me the statement, and guess what? He actually introduced this online system that Yulia was talking about. Okay, so think about it. Like, I was like, what the shit? I'm calling you up for help, and you're telling me that I need to take a look at this online internet mumbo jumbo stuff that I thought is a big scam. Sound familiar to most of you? I was skeptical, guys. But fast forward, that's me and my kids. That's the Vancouver Science World here in Vancouver, right? In beautiful summertime, man. I'm out with my kids. Yes, we moved here, had to leave my wife, right? She had to go take care of her issues, still love each other, right? But it's been a hard life. These kids have had to grow up with just me, not mom around, right? You know, I've had to deal with many issues. They got bad dreams at night. It's dad's got to be around, not mom, right? They don't have that female touch, that mom touch. And we all know how much we love our moms, right? Everyone, you talk to soldiers on the verge of death when they're about to die, you know, they've been shot on the battlefield. Who's the person that they normally call for? They normally pray to God at the last minute, and they normally ask, where's their mom? I mean, I feel sorry for the dads out there, but most kids don't ask for their dads. They ask for their mom. Everybody wants to be cradled in their mom's arms, right? And my kids don't have that. They don't have that with their mom right now because we're paying the ultimate price for our mistakes. We took responsibility. We stopped blaming other people. We took responsibility. I challenge you. I encourage you to take responsibility for your life as well. Turn your setbacks into comebacks, guys. Find a way out of no way. Find a way out of no way. So that's me and my kids. That's us down at White Rock Beach, one of our favorite places to go to and be by the ocean. It's minus ions out there, negative ions, so it's really healing and good for the soul. It's just good for overall. Get in the sun, get some vitamin D and stuff like that. There's me with Chris Jones, multi-millionaire mentor, who's off working on a project right now that's going to benefit a lot of us, okay? He may be off, you know, not associated with us directly right now, but he has to do that for the venture capitalists and things that he has to do to get that set up. I think there's a lot of confusion in the market right now. Some people saw a post of his and they thought, oh, maybe he's not working together with us and stuff, but he is. He still is. I know very well. I communicate with him, right? So there's me and him. There's Dan Locke, right? Another multi-millionaire, a man I'm extremely grateful to as well. So starting off with the first mentor out in Bangkok, then, you know, Chris Jones and Tracy Walker. I don't think I have a picture of Tracy Walker here. And then Dan Locke, locally here in Vancouver, British Columbia. He made his millions in a couple of brick and mortar businesses as well as online, you know, with Charm Junction. And, you know, you just look up the stuff. He's also produced a book. I'll show you guys the book, FU Money. And I've got a gift for you guys, by the way, for sticking on to the end of this. I've got a gift for all of you that you can actually take and use. And a lot of that material is actually coming from Dan Locke. Right, so you guys can actually do that. That's why I'm saying anyone can do this. He's made money with drop shipping. He's made money with e-commerce, all kinds of things, right? And now he's partnered up with me. I'm partnered up with him, and we help mentor and coach people, right? So, but I can just tell you guys, just let me warn you, Dan does not just deal with anyone, okay? So he's not just looking for the broke, you know, like if you're coming to him and saying, hey, you know, Dan, please mentor me, you know, and you're expecting it for free. He doesn't do that, okay? This guy knows his shit. He's really, really good. Just YouTube him. You'll find him. I'll show you guys his webpage. And so, yeah, it became my passion, guys, of helping people to turn their setbacks into comebacks, right? Yulia was actually literally at this place when this photo was taken. She was actually standing just in the background here. You don't see her, but she was there with me, right? We enjoyed a wonderful time in Las Vegas.
I think I took some good shots of you that night or that day.
Yeah, it was awesome. And, you know, Yulia got some really beautiful pictures done of her as well in her green one piece and stuff like that. So, guys, I did this in a presentation. We say break time. But I want to just give you guys some tips that you can apply and how you can succeed as an entrepreneur. Okay, and then Yulia's also going to give you some stuff as well. So we'll just wrap this up shortly here, but you guys have been really good to stick on all the way to the end of this presentation. And I really want to make sure I deliver value here for you guys. And I still want to make sure you understand why you stuck on all the way here, okay? So entrepreneurs, right, and top producers and go-getters, they're different. I want you guys to write 3 things you think entrepreneurs do differently than other people. Okay, so you can go ahead and write that. I'm just gonna skip through to the next slide here, and because people watching the replay and stuff like that, you guys can do that, pause the video and stuff like that, okay? And for you guys that are not, you're watching it live, just in your own time, write it down. It helps to jog your brain, okay? So tips that you can basically take on how to succeed as an entrepreneur. The common mistakes I see in entrepreneurs, the 4 evils that screw up entrepreneurs. I didn't finish that one. I talked to you guys only about the first 2 evils, and how to find and keep a right mentor. Now, I think I'll probably just skip out on the how to find and keep a right mentor. What I can tell you and direct you to is you can go to YouTube and just type how to find a mentor, and you will find my video on the first page of YouTube, along with famous people like Ty Lopez, Steve Harvey, Matt Morris, and these people are not associated with me. I just respect them as fellow leaders out there, motivational speakers, shining examples of entrepreneurship and social media. They're very, they've got a good presence on the internet and social media and stuff like that. So I've got links in my video in the description that will take you to their videos. So you can just watch my video, and you can see how amateur I was back then, and yet that video ranks. And because of that video, I get a lot of leads and a lot of people contact me, seeking mentorship and stuff. And just go and watch my other mentor videos as well. Well, not my other mentor videos, the people I consider as mentors, I've got their links in the description. So you guys can check that out. And then the 5 main action steps, I'll see if I got time to get to that, right? But, the common mistakes I see here, guys, just take a screenshot if you like. Analysis paralysis, overthinking things, trying to get ready, but never ever getting started. Oh, I'm still learning. Right? You get these guys that'll go, the junkies, the groupies that go to every personal development, every how-to seminar, but they never ever get started, right? Or they're broke. You're trying to build a business, but you're broke, and you got broke mentality. You want to be rich overnight. You want to get rich quick. People spend 4 years in university, guys. 4 years in university and tons of tuition and gas money and food money and beer money, going out to beer crawls and stuff like that, pub crawls and stuff. You spend 4 years of your life never making a single cent unless you had a part-time job, right? Just to get what? A degree? To what? To do what? In the hopes that a company will hire you so you make your money back, right? And yet people will get started online, they'll start up a business, and they expect to get rich in a month. They expect to get rich in a year. Guys, if you invest 4 years of your life in university, you're probably going to have to invest about 4 years of your life and less. Actually, I did in 2 years already, right? So my results are not typical. See the income disclaimer below and all that stuff. But I'm proving to you guys that within a year, 2 years, you can make more money than you did in 4 years of university. I see pride and ego. People that think they know it all, they're not teachable, right? People that want to figure it out themselves. People that don't want to find a mentor. So that's why no mentor. They don't know how to find the right mentors. They don't know how to be submissive and humble to a mentor. They don't know how to offer and work for free to a mentor. They don't know how to earn the respect of a mentor, right? And thus they repel people that could potentially be their mentors. They don't read books. They don't listen to audios, right? They're trying to be perfect. They're not willing to invest in themselves or their business. They're trying to do it the El Cheapo way. Everything for free. Oh, I'll build my own website. Yeah, I can build my own WordPress website and make it rank on Google. Yeah. Why do I need to spend $97 with your platform, Desmond, and spend money? Duh. Because our platform ranks on Google. It doesn't have all the hack stuff. You got customer support. You as the entrepreneur can go focus on important things in your life like sales and lead generation and not worry about technical stuff and design stuff and programming and CSS and HTML and all that bullshit that doesn't produce you any money, right? So people, I see this all the time, and I don't. I'm giving you guys the really short down version here because I want to really shorten this up and wrap it up. If you want more information, contact Yulia or the person that invited you here. If you're working with us, or I'll share with you these slides later and stuff like that. Just send me the email, and yeah, I'll even, hopefully, I'm a giving person. If time permitting, I'll even go into more details on another time. Okay, so you can hit me up for that. It's not what you know, but who you know. More importantly, who knows you. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, guys. Okay, so the 4 evils here, moving on, right? I talked about the health and the emotional ones, right? You guys remember that? Or have you guys, is that already gone in one ear and out the other ear? Right? So type in the chat or wherever you guys are, or, you know, send a message to Yulia or whatever. Have you guys, you know, remember what I talked about for the health and then emotional? You can go watch the replay, right? Health issues, anything. I just, basically what it is it's as simple as this, okay? You will have a goal. You want to set up a business or you want to do something. You want to make some money. You got a project, okay? Don't let any one of these 4 things disrupt the stability in your life and cause you to slow down. Don't let any of these 4 things. The financial one, like I talked about, people trying to build a business but have no budget, no capital. They don't know how to raise finances. They don't know how to create finances. They're trying to quit their job and starting a business right away, right? They can't pay for their cell phone bill. They don't have money to go to major events, symposiums, and education seminars. They don't have money to buy programs. They're trying to do everything the free, broke way. They don't even have money to print business cards, right? And you know, it's like just stupid shit. People are always financially strapped, so they're trying to be a big shot. And they're like, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Check out my business card. It's got CEO on it, director of, you know, president of." But you're fucking broke. You're fucking broke, right? You don't even. And what do I mean by broke, guys? Okay, anyone making less than a 5-figure income, that means less than $10,000 a month, you're broke. Because 10,000, well, okay, I'll go easier on you guys, be a little bit softer. 8,500. Less than 8,300 actually is that actual number. Okay, you're making a 6-figure income. You're making over $100,000 a year. There's almost very little things that you can do in the real business world. Yes, this home-based businesses, I'm very big supporter, proponent of the home-based businesses and the self-employed and all kind of stuff like that, right? But if you wanted to have money to invest in real estate, even a single family home, okay, you would need to have a 6-figure income to really purchase some properties of value that you can actually generate some really good solid cash flow from, okay? Or buying out a business, right? You can't even think that. Most 90% of the entrepreneurs that come to us can't even think that. They can't even afford that, okay? So don't do that, okay? Now, true story here, one of my business mentors sat down with a bunch of us mentees, right? And he basically said to us, hey, I'm gonna buy out a company for about $1 million. It's actually valued around about $6 million. But they're really in a banged up state right now. And I think I can talk to the owners and buy them out for $1 million, okay? And I'm gonna be the majority shareholder in it, but you know, for you mentees, I'm gonna offer it to you guys. Maybe 5 of you guys can get in and then take like a 10% share in the company. So what is that? Do the mathematics, okay? $1 million company, he's taking 50%, that's 500,000, and he's got 5 positions open for 100,000. So you have to have $100,000 cash right now to be able to participate in that deal, right? And if you don't, you're broke, right? So face it up. You're broke, right? And you're trying to do it the broke, banged up way, right? So that's the financial issues here. So the number one issue I have with all the entrepreneurs is that we got to get you. We have to find a way to get the average person, the grandma, the housewife, right? The single parent, you know, the people like me, right? The people who are sick and tired of their jobs, the people who hate commuting, the people who want to change in their life, the people who want to travel more. They don't want to be stuck in a cubicle. They know that their life is way more than this. They're destined to do better things in their life. Maybe they have missions that they want to do, ministries, you know, like charity work, going to underdeveloped countries and building wells and schools and orphanages. Maybe you are destined to do something like that, but you're stuck in a 9-to-5. Not even 9-to-5 these days, in a 9-to-6 or 9-to-8 or whatever, right? And you got rent and you got a mortgage. And you're just up to your head in debt. You've got more month than you have money, right? All these things, you've heard these phrases before, right? And you're just there and you're frustrated. You feel cornered. This is what we do. This is what Yulia, myself, Dan, we do. We help people like that. But you got to stop the excuses and you got to stabilize your life. You got to stop letting the health be an issue in your life. You got to stop letting the emotional things rock your boat every single time. Every single time your mom says something, every time your dad says something, every time your spouse says something, every time your boyfriend, girlfriend breaks up with you, every time something emotional fucks you up. Don't let that bug you. And then time. Guys, we're all busy. We all got 24 hours in a day. I don't have more hours than you do. I'm a single parent. I got 2 kids, right? And I still do everything. I mentor, manage people. I find time, guys. So I'm gonna wrap up on this slide here with this one last story about time. So someone asked me, I actually get this quite a lot from people that I mentor, and they always say to me, Desmond, how much time do I need to do, man? How much time do I need to put into this to become successful? So I tell them the story about the university, right? I'm like, look, guys, you want to make a 6-figure income like I do. You want to make a 6-figure income, right? Doctors make six-figure incomes. Lawyers make six-figure incomes. How much time do they put into education in school? Right? Like how many years do doctors put in? 6 to 8 years? How much money? Student loans up to about $300,000, right? You can just Google that. You can see all the stats for that, okay? 200,000, 300,000, some even put in up to $1 million by the time they get their clinic and all the equipment and stuff, right? Why? Just have that nice fancy title, right? Drive that, mid-class level Mercedes, luxury car, maybe BMW or something, right? Maybe even a Porsche, a Boxster, a convertible, something, because you don't have any kids and it's just you and you just want to, midlife crisis and stuff. Because by the time you start being a doctor, you're in midlife already because you spent so many years in university, right? And so, you want to make all that income like that, the easy way, the shortcut way, right? The quick get rich scheme way, right? No, guys, it takes hard work and hustle. And I can tell you that doctors put in 8 years, lawyers put in like 5, 6 years, right? All that kind of stuff just to make that income. I'm doing it in less time than that. See the full income disclaimer because my results are not typical, right? And so my kids are just outside the door. Yeah, I want to wrap it up because I do spend time with my kids. It's Saturday night, right? And we just got this new place that I signed a contract for. So I'm excited. I want to make plans to move into this beautiful new neighborhood, right? And I can do that now, right? Without a job. The guy even allowed me to rent the place, and he normally, does all these credit checks and income checks and stuff. When he saw my income, I was showing him my income statement. He was like, "Oh, yeah, you're totally good." The first thing he said to me was like, "Yeah, you're totally good." He's like, "I don't even need to see it." And this guy works in the fraud department, right? For the government and stuff like that. He's the owner of the property and stuff like that. So he was like, "Nah, you're good." So I just want to share that with you guys because I want to show you hope. 2 years ago, I told you the big long story to show you how banged up and beat up my life was. And for the last year, it's been good. So actually, technically speaking, I cleaned up my life within a year of consistency, a year of biting the bullet, a year of being spat on, a year of being insulted, a year of staying focused, a year of being solid and not letting health, emotion, financial time be my excuses for why I could not build my business and be successful and turn my setbacks and comebacks. So the How to Find a Mentor, you guys go check that out later. And what you can do and how to do it, you guys can take a screenshot of that. Mentorship is earned. Oh no, that's just for the mentorship stuff. So 5 action steps you guys can take. What's your why? Yulia talked about this. I'll pass the mic back to Yulia and let her explain more about that. But my why, my children, my why. I want to live long enough with my kids, and I want to be around for them. I want to give them a really good life. I want to leave them with a legacy. Even if I do die early, I want to have money for them. And even if I do get sick, okay, I'm not speaking into existence. I'm just saying I'm pragmatic that way where I prepare for stuff. Is that if I should get sick, I want to have the best medical attention, right? I want to be able to go see the best doctors, get the best medicines, the best holistic practices, whatever it is, at that time, private medicine, whatever it is, right? Be very clear on what you want. You have to be very clear on what you want. Don't worry, it will change. Dreams, visions, your goals, they change from time to time. They will change, right? And you roll with the punches. And you alter your course, and you just alter your course. You guys have all seen that picture, that image, maybe on social media. Success is not a straight line. It's like a big squiggly line that looks like a spaghetti thing, right? It's like that. It changes. As long as you stay true to your why, right, and you persevere, the only time you ever fail is when you quit. And I've never quit. I've kept going through all the hardships you've heard through my story here, all the mistakes I've made. I've just gotten better. I'm 38 years old, guys. I don't want to be that guy. When I was in my 20s, I'm like, yeah, sure, I make mistakes. I got time. I'm young, right? I'm not saying that anymore now. Now I'm kind of like, shit, man, in like 2 years, I'm going to be 40. I don't want to be that guy at 40, living in my parents' basement, still trying to struggle and get my business off the ground, still trying to get ready, right? Still being broke, still showing up with old dirty shoes at a meetup, trying to hand out my business card, trying to pitch people stuff. I don't want to be that guy, right? So costs, make sure you know what costs. Everything has a cost, guys. I had to pay the price. Money, financially, for training, education, money to be around mentors. I spent $150 last night at a sushi dinner with Dan Locke. And I gladly paid for it. The time that I spent with him, the knowledge I learned, being around him, being seen as someone who's eager to learn, right? I gladly pay that $150. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on university and education. It doesn't get them anywhere, right? But that opens doors for me. Yulia's going to show you some pictures here, guys. I got to know, I'm here back in Vancouver for only 2 years, and one of the billionaires, the multi-billionaires that lives here in Vancouver, who's building the Trump Tower, and I know you guys got your opinions about Trump and stuff like that, but it's the Trump Tower, the hotel and stuff like that, right? Okay, it's a $350 million tower, okay, that his family, his billion-dollar family, Okay, not him personally, his family. He grew up into that, right? He doesn't like people to point him out as a billionaire or like a scion. A scion means like the son of a billionaire, right? He's a very humble Christian guy. I love him very much. Very cool guy. And he's also become a semi-mentor for me as well. So this guy named Ju Kim Tia, you'll see pictures of me and Yulia. We partied with him last summer. We'll be partying with him again this summer as the Trump Tower opens here in Vancouver. How can we do that? How can we get around circles of people like that? Right now, are we one of those like groupie type people that just wants to hang around rich celebrities and stuff? No, I actually really do hang around with Ju Kim, and he's very humble. Like I said, we go hang out, and he does have some pretty damn fucking cool pool parties and all kinds of parties. You'll see pictures of that in a second. So stuff like that. But I had to pay a price, guys. I had to pay a price. I didn't make excuses. I took a bus to work for a year, no car, right? I didn't go out. I gave up TV. I would come home. I gave up sleep. Right? I would sleep only like 4.5 hours every night for a year. Saturday, Sunday too. Because I would have to be taking courses and watching videos and taking seminars and stuff like that, right? So guys, there's my contact details there. I really appreciate it if you guys follow me or Snap. I don't have my Snapchat thing here, but it's the same thing. It's Desmond Soon 77 or my Instagram, YouTube at desmond-soon.com, my blog at desmond-soon.com. But really, honestly, guys, I'm the guest here, right? And Yulia's the main person here, so I want to direct everyone back to Yulia. Or if someone else invited you here, someone was kind enough, one of my peers, that invited you here that respect me and stuff like that, please do get back to that person, right? The email, the invitation that you got, get back to that person and say, hey, what can I do? Desmond, can I, sorry, not Desmond, what can I do to that person? And just say, can I get that link, from you to partner with you guys and get around your circle and be more connected with you guys? What can I do to be around with you guys? So I'm going to stop my screen share there, Yulia. I've been talking for a really long time here. I really hope people are finding value here. I can't really see the chat, right? But that's okay. Even if people don't have questions right now, this is being recorded, so it's for the people in the replay as well, okay? You can always reach out to send an email to me at desmond@desmond-soon.com, or like I said, contact Yulia, the person who invited you, and ask those questions. So Yulia, maybe you might want to do a screen share and just finish up the last 5 minutes of the presentation here. We'll give our gift to the people who've been loyal and stuck around all the way to the end here.
Definitely. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for taking, your Saturday night and committing to us, even though, you could be with your kids right now. So you guys, I just really want to really focus on the value that we're getting here tonight. So please send your sincere thank you to Desmond Soon for taking this time. And what I want to say is just like my biggest takeaway from what you've shared with tonight. Poor mentality asks, how much does it cost? But the reality, the question you should be asking is, how much can it make me? Right? And I love how you brought up the concept of, if you want to start any business, if there's any investments, the reality is it takes money to make money. Okay? And that's where it can be difficult for some people in the middle class to pull themselves out of that without going into massive debt, which is exactly why I honor you so much, because you've been on both sides. You've been through the middle class, through the highs, as well as the lows. And you know exactly what it takes to really do a business in the traditional way. So what I really love about online marketing is the fact that it gives people like us, which we're regular people, an honest chance at getting out of the rat race, because I think we all deserve that, right? We're all
Totally agree. Like, just sorry to interrupt you. I want you to have most of the mic here because this is your show. But people who are like broke or under the 10,000, they don't know how to start up their own business. That's why they're going to remain broke. They got to find a way to get out of that. And that's why I totally agree with you. I told my wife this, I never really want to go back to brick and mortar business ever again. Now knowing what we know, because it is so much easier, because the average person doesn't have $10,000 to invest in a business. Let's just face it, the average society, there are people that can get bank loans, and there are people that can borrow from family and friends, and there are people that can probably remortgage their house and stuff like that, but that's a very small percentage. The average person, especially people are watching this, I'm going to guess that they're looking for a way to make some money and do stuff like that. So that's why I love what we do, because the entry level, and oh, by the way, the disclaimer is, guys, we're not pitching you here, okay? I'm just telling you what's working for Yulia and myself. You make the decision if you want to use the system that we use the platform we use the software we use the training courses that we took. In other words, do you want to come to the same university as us and read the same textbooks as us and get the same results as us? There are many universities out there. There are many ways to skin a cat. Or you can humble your pride and learn from us. Either way. Okay, so Yulia, back to you.
Definitely. So, what it really takes to have a traditional business it's a lot. I mean, me, myself, just to start a property maintenance business, like I said, I had to invest in a van, into equipment, into marketing, hiring people, right? Paying for all that. So, I really looked at online marketing as a way to have an entry level that can be duplicated among people. So, if this is for you or not, you can make that decision yourself. But regardless, I promised that I would deliver some value here about what it really takes to turn a passion, a hobby, something that you're really interested in, and actually monetize it online, whether you want to be a public speaker, a musician, if you're a fitness avid, whatever the case may be. I want to show you how that's possible. So I'm just going to share my screen here with you guys. Let me go over here so I can just continue off my slides here. All right. So now, thank you so much for going into your why. I think we've really driven that home to see why it is so important to have that, so you can really do this stuff. Okay. I'm just going to make my slide bigger there. So how is money made by six-figure earners on the internet? Now, I think the problem is that a lot of people just like, okay, well, I have this thing I want to sell, and I'm just going to spam it to everyone. I'm going to put it all over my Facebook. I'm going to message all my friends. I'm going to call my grandma, my mom, my cousin. But the thing is that these people are not necessarily the best people for your product or for your business or for your service, right? So how do you find people that are actually looking for what you have to offer, looking for the kind of music you want to produce, or looking for the fitness or the personal development you have to produce, right? Well, you need to ask yourself, well, who is my audience? Who am I talking to? What are their problems, right? And what do I have to give in order to solve those problems? The more you give is the more successful you will be, right? The more people you help, that's how your wealth will actually grow. So I absolutely stress that no matter what it is you're doing, and what kind of business you're doing, always lead with value. Give people a reason to even follow you in the first place. Why is it that you can bring them to the results that they want? Why should they buy your product? And make yourself, place yourself an authority that you truly are. I think there's a lot of talented people out there, but they're just not known. They're not discovered. Nobody knows about them. And you know what? Quite frankly, you could have the best product, the best service. You could be the best kind-hearted person, most talented person. But if you don't have marketing, you don't exist. And that's the harsh reality of it. But, and this is why my family business kind of fell out, because, me and my brother went head-to-head at this, is that he didn't see the value in marketing. Every time we would make money, he would just take that and just invest it into more tools, more shiny tools. Well, that's wonderful. They look great. But how good are they if nobody can actually see them, right? So how good are you really if nobody can see you? A tree can fall in the forest, but if nobody hears you, did you actually fall, right? So I cannot stress how, people don't put enough emphasis on how important marketing it is. Absolutely, work on your skill. Be the best personal development coach. Do daily training. If you're a musician, practice daily. If you're a fitness trainer, always fuel your mind with the best techniques. But you need to market what you know. So how do you look as an authority? Well, the reality is, like I've mentioned earlier, is that we live in an international market. If you limit yourself just locally, sure, that's a great way to plant your base. But the end of the question is how big do you really want to grow? If you tap into an international market, having 1 million people just buy $1 of your service, now we're talking $1 million business. So how do people actually find you, right? Well, we have the technology to show you how to actually rank onto Google, right? There's a reason why you type in my name, Yulia Tudor. Sure, maybe I have a unique name, but type in Desmond Soon, type in Tracy Walker, right? How come these common names are ranking? Well, because we have the technology to do so. So whatever it is that you're using, and I will actually share the tools that you need in order to succeed in the online world. But the whole point of why do you want to place yourself as an authority is that you don't want to chase people. That is just lame. I mean, I don't feel good about, like hustling people. Hey, can you buy my product? Can you like try this service pretty please? I need to really make my rent. Or, like nobody wants to get that. It's kind of like if you're asking a really cute girl or guy on a date and you're begging them, do you think they really want you? No. But if you put yourself, show the world how valuable you are, then people are going to come towards you. So you want to be found versus chasing people, right? So by placing yourself as an authority online, ranking to the first page of Google, but not just ranking, you got to actually deliver good content so that people can actually stick around, right? So that's what we call a concept called attraction marketing versus push marketing, right? And that is why, so many MLM industries, they've been doing pretty well. And just so you know, MLM is multi-level marketing. For those that have any experience in this, they have been doing well. But the thing is that it is a dying industry. And I'll tell you why. Is because when someone calls you up and invites you to this meeting, you know what it is. The tactics that we've been using 20 years ago are just not as effective. The business card method, what happens to that? People just put that in their wallet or in their pocket, and then they forget about it. But if you can find yourself online and consistently deliver value, like I'm not talking a post here, post there, or share an article here. You got to be daily consistent. And to be honest, I would have to say that the most difficult part about running an online business is merely the consistency of it. You got to program people like you're the 10 o'clock news, right? People know that every day at this time is the time that Yulia comes on and presents something, or Desmond comes in and presents something about the topic that you are placing yourself as an authority in. So you have to be consistent, because you know what? Even if maybe people are not liking, commenting, and being interactive in your social media, people are watching. And they're watching for you to fail, right? So you are be your own mentor, be your own coach, be your own motivation. And again, this is going back to that why. And that will drive your consistency. So it all comes down to the daily habits that you take on a daily basis over a long period of time. So there's a favorite quote that I absolutely admire is do the right things long enough for a consistent period of time, right? It's kind of like the pumping the well analogy, right? So you can pump the water today, you can pump it tomorrow. For weeks, you're in a desert, it's dry, it's hot, you're sweating, you're getting tired, and you haven't seen a single drop, and you're nearly about to faint. But if you let go, what's going to happen is all that water that you're working to come out of the ground into the surface is going to trickle right back down. So you have to be consistent with whatever it is that you're pursuing in your life, because it is a domino effect. It's something that compounds over time and will actually produce results. So the reason why so many people go into online marketing, whatever it is they're doing, and they don't see results is because they're not showing up. How do you expect your customers to show up if you're not even there? You got to keep your store open, right? So I hope I've really driven this point home. And if you get in touch with me, I will actually, Desmond has an access to a PDF, which are the secrets that the income producing activities that you have to do in order to really make this thing happen and really, create success online with whatever it is that you're doing offline.
Julia?
Yeah.
Really quick. I mean, because we don't have time to show them everything right now, but let me just, if you don't mind, I'll just flash it in front of my screen here, right? We'll share with them this PDF here, okay? And it's got some stuff on it, okay? And it says stuff like share helpful, interesting content, exactly like what you said. Be real, blog posts, videos, Facebook posts, right? Email subscribers, so you need to have an autoresponder. You need to have a subscriber base, right? Which we talk about later on the next slide. And then, develop himself, right? Develop yourself, so the personal development aspect that we talked about. And number 4, have a consistent message. Like you said, the consistency and being there, like the 10 o'clock news kind of thing, is that consistency. So the words on the bottom there, it's really that simple. And this is straight from one of our mentors and a really good friend of mine. And I followed everything he said. And Yulia, he just talked about this on another webcast just a few nights ago. And as the webcast was going, you should ask Yulia, because I was like typing in the chat. I was going like, boom, isn't that exactly what I've been telling you guys? Like, if you just do that, you'll get results. Because he shared it from his perspective, and I was trying to tell it to the group, right, the team, the mentees, and I'm like, guys, you see, I've been telling you guys this stuff. Just do this, and it's really that simple, and you can actually make a 6-figure income, with consistency. But once again, we can't guarantee that. Okay, for legal FTC purposes, we have to say, our results are not typical, because we are a legal and compliant company. So our results are not typical. Your results may vary. It does take hard work and dedication, but see the full income disclaimer below. All right, moving on, Yulia, your turn.
Perfect. So I'm just going to wrap this up with the actual tools that are absolutely crucial to your business. Because you know what? Like, how can you have a restaurant without the food, without the plates, without the cashier, the waitress, right? So you need to have certain tools to run your business. Okay, so I mean, that sounds like an obvious thing, but it doesn't sound so obvious when it comes down to cost. Because people are like, well, wait a minute, I want to become really successful, but I don't want it to cost me anything. Well, if that's you, I suggest you get out of this conversation, because that's not being realistic whatsoever. So let me just show you the last screen here. Okay. Oh, so actually, well, I'll get into that in just a moment, but these are the 4 things that you absolutely need if you want to turn your laptop into an ATM. So number 1, you obviously need a website or a blog. Okay, a blog is just the same thing as a website, preferably WordPress. And this is basically, yeah.
Probably want to go into a slideshow.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you very much. There we go.
There you go.
So preferably a WordPress site. Now, every single blog post is basically a permanent flyer that you can put up, and it stays online forever. It is a piece of online real estate that you are buying, that people can walk in and get a tour of your mansion, which is basically your website that presents different products or services or art, music, whatever the case may be. You absolutely need to have your website. This is your store. Okay, so if you have a business offline and you don't have a website, I would get on that. And we do actually have a platform that is actually quite user-friendly without having to knowing any HTML coding, and comes with all the necessary plugins. Second is you need an autoresponder. So some of you might have gotten onto my webinar here through an email invite. So I have this tool that I use, Aweber. But the thing is that you need to have a list. If you don't have a list of people you want to market to, you don't have a business. You need to collect names, you need to collect numbers, you need to let people know what you have. If you don't have an audience, then you don't have the product, you don't have the service. It doesn't exist if there's no eyes there to actually watch it. So you need to be in constant communication with your list. And again, consistently get them used to opening up your emails and getting comfortable with you. Build that rapport, that trust, that respect, right? So this is your way to communicate with thousands of people, millions of people simultaneously, but still building that personal connection. So autoresponders are absolutely key. Third is lead capture page. So you might have opted into this webinar through a lead capture page that I've created. And I do use a template that is actually quite user-friendly. I'm not a techie person, but what the purpose of a lead capture page is that you want to actually give some people some information, some value, give them, maybe even a free gift for exchanging their contact information, right? This is your way to capture your audience. I put up a video because I like to be engaged with people, right? So you don't want to just talk to your list and then send them directly to the sale. You've built no trust there. You've built no rapport. So the lead capture bridge, and there's actually training that we provide that part of the university and the education that I've been a part of, that shows you how to build that rapport with people, how to basically create a reward or something that will engage your audience into getting them actively looking at your service. And the fourth thing is targeted lead generation. Now, there's many ways to do this. And Desmond, you're very good at doing this, and perhaps if you can just touch up on what's one of your favorite ways to get targeted leads.
That's really good. A lot of people that get into this industry at the beginning, one of the biggest questions is that they feel lost. They don't know what to do, or some of them have actually done some research, so they've learned some things. They think like social media or Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'll write a blog. But I'll be really honest, guys, it does take time to learn. It's like when you go to university, or even if you get a new job, okay? If you started at a new job, I mean, Yulia, at my advice, I recommended her to go work with one of our mentors, a very, very famous self-made multimillionaire by the name of Brian Scudamore, like the franchise king of North America. And I told her to go get a job with him to learn sales skills, as well as also get her life stabilized and stuff like that while she builds her business, right? In part-time, in the evenings and on weekends and on webinars like this and stuff like that. Because she's in that early stage right now, that early 1 year, like me, when I was working my first year. And so very soon I can see Yulia being able to, be free of that should she choose to, okay? If that's her path. But going back to the whole thing is like when someone like say Yulia came in, she was like all over the place. I want to do this, I want to do that. And we see this all the time with everyone. So pick one thing and then learn how to master it. One of the ways I'm really good at is my YouTube videos. I sucked at blogging. I hated what blogs were. When I first started up my thing, my mentor was saying, you got to get a blog. I'm like, what the hell are blogs? They're like online diaries for old grandmothers that take pictures of their cats or pictures of food. I don't give a crap about blogs. What I did not know, how stupid I was I did not know that blogs were like Huffington Post or like Inc.com or Entrepreneur.com. Those were all blogs that I read every day without even knowing it. I opened up my email, they were there. I clicked it, I went on Facebook and I saw some posts. I clicked it and I read it. And I was like, damn, this is good shit. And I shared it with people. I didn't realize that those were blogs, right? And I used to always think that a website, I didn't know the difference between a blog and a website. What I did not realize was that a blog is a website, right? It's just a very dynamic website that gets constantly updated. Like Yulia said, it's a flyer. So whatever business you're in, if you're a professional real estate agent, whatever the case is, you want to learn how to generate leads by being out there. If you have stuff out there that ranks, people find it. It's one of the organic ways, but it took me time to learn how to blog the right way, right? So that people, there were questions that people are typing into Google and searching for answers, and boom, they find my blog. They find my website. And thus, natural organic traffic started flowing in. Or they would go onto YouTube and they would search for something, a keyword, a long tail keyword, and then they would find my video on the first page. And so they will watch my video and be inspired by me. Ask Yulia time and time again. I share in my group chat, the mentee chat and stuff like that. Someone will contact out of the blue and a new mentee will join the team, and I'll normally ask them publicly, like, how did you find me? And they'll say, I don't know, I stalked you. I found you on YouTube. I found you on Facebook. I found your blog, right? And because of that, I just thought that you're a genuine, honest person and you're someone I'd like to be mentored by. So I contacted you and signed up for your program, right? And that's how I've attracted, without the whole attraction marketing rather than the push marketing, was through that. But it takes time to learn, right? If you get a job, most jobs, like Yulia, like I said, started a job, it takes 3 months of probation. You're not expected to know everything overnight. So calm down, everyone. If you do decide to get in touch with Yulia and get started, okay, and become one of the entry-level, mentees and start learning this stuff, it's gonna take you some time, right? That's why I tell people don't quit your day job, because you probably just need to maintain your cash flow while learning this stuff. But here's the good news. If you're a good student like Yulia, if you're a good student like some of the mentees we have in our team, right? If you treat this professionally, if you treat this like a night school you're going to, okay, and you show up regularly, then people like myself, Dan Locke, Tracy Walker, Dave, can show you the precise things that you need to do to start building up your reputation, start building up your attraction marketing, and start generating income in less than 4 years. So less than university. Heck, I'm even willing to bet, not guarantee, bet that I can probably help you start generating income within your first year, which no university can guarantee, right? You go to university, they tell you 4 years. I can probably work with that. Now, I'm trying to be conservative here. We've got cases of people that have joined 20-year-olds as well as baby boomers that have made money within their very first few days. See the full income disclaimer, and our results are not typical. But we know some very precise things that you can do to start doing that. Get your brand set up, get your blog set up, get your autoresponder set up, get some lead capture pages set up. You don't need to know all this stuff. Just follow what I'm doing. I'll show you ABC, and you just duplicate it, and boom, it will start producing for you. Now, you're not gonna be like me, like the master, you know, or like Dan Long and stuff. You're gonna be a little bit shaky. So the first few times you do it, you might even get some results, and then all of a sudden you get some failures, you know, and then it might work again, it might not fail, it might fail again. And it's a refining process. But that's why we ask you to be consistent, because if you're consistent over a short period of time, and short meaning a year, okay, you can take your income to the point where you can actually walk away from your job, whatever your job is. I'm confident even if you're making a 6-figure income, you can walk away from your job. I've got friends who have made 6-figure incomes, corporate 6-figure income jobs. They walked away within a year of doing this stuff online. But that's them. We don't know you. So Yulia, back to you. That's it. That's my answer for that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I really like just one thing that you said there. It was basically
Just
like
one thing, not everything.
Oh, I loved everything you said. No, but the thing is, I wanted to actually just kind of put into perspective is that a traditional business doesn't actually make any profit in 5 years, if they're lucky. In fact, 90% of businesses go bankrupt before they can even see an extra penny in their pockets. So, you know, the fact that you said, oh, if people are thinking, oh my gosh, like I could make an income in a year, that's actually phenomenal. If you compare it to a traditional brick and mortar business, to the investment that you have to put in. So at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is how coachable are you? Are you willing to let down your pride and your ego and realize that you don't know what you don't know, right? I always say, follow the people that have what you want and been where you've been. And I can say that both me and Desmond have been through all sorts of walks of life and done all types of businesses to know how good this really can be. If you make it work, you're the one who has to plug yourself into the equation. I can't do that for you. I can offer you my hand, but at the end of the day, you're the one that actually has to take it. So I'm just going to actually wrap this up. I only have a last slide here. Just a moment. So what we're going to do for you guys as a free gift for sticking around through this webinar, despite the technical difficulties we had earlier, we're going to be offering you the exact cookie cutter system. I mean, it's not that, I mean, it can be that simple if you follow those steps, but we have, you know, a beginner guide, an intro guide, personally endorsed by Dan Locke. Dan Locke is a self-made millionaire, you know, came with no resources, not even a word of English, and generated over 50, pardon?
In case people are wondering, like that's his actual book, right? So if they want to go to Amazon and look for that, or just ask you for the link, actually, Yulia, you can send them the link. They might even be able to get a discount on Amazon. I've got a link as well for it, that they can actually get this book, hardcover, or if they're in the Vancouver area, get in touch with us and come out and meet up with Dan Locke, get a specially autographed book. But that's Dan right there, you know, and this is one of many books he has written, motivational speaker as well as keynote speaker, and, you know, internet guru, as well as internet mogul. But yeah, this quick start guide that we got here, if you don't mind, I just explain it real quick, Yulia. Definitely, it's a really simple entry level stuff. It's kind of like, you know, it'll give you a bird's eye view of certain things you need to do. So you don't have to be affiliated with us. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that's why we personally made this webinar. We're trying to give you guys value here, right? Because some people will be like, well, you know, they got their arms all crossed, like, you guys did this webinar just to sell us your system. No, we're not. Like, you can choose to do the system that we do because it'll be easier. You'll be plugged in with us, and it's easier for us to kind of explain things. But I coach and mentor people that do not use our system at all. I coach and mentor them with Dan Locke, and Dan coaches them as well. And we use stuff from here as well, from the quick start guide and stuff, to get them started, to get their mindset set up right, and to train them. So this is a free gift to you guys. And by the way, I believe when this was publicly allowed, Dan was actually selling it for around about $197. So we're giving it to you guys for free, right? So it's got videos in it, it's got PDFs, it's got different things in it, you know. And so, you know, how do you get this free gift? You need to get back in touch with the person that invited you here. The person that invited you here is going to then get in touch with me or Yulia, and we have access to it, and we can send it to you guys so that you can give it to that person. Okay, so that's our promise. We want to give that to you. You know, and you guys can always obviously go and take a look at danlocke.com. right? You know, and you can just see who he is and stuff like that there directly. And if you're in the Vancouver area, come out and meet up with him. But obviously, he's not just going to talk to you if he does not know who you are. So it's probably better if you contact Yulia, myself, or someone in the Vancouver area who knows Dan, okay, and makes a personal introduction for you. So yeah, on the 16th in Vancouver, by the way, if you are in Vancouver on the 16th of March, that's next week, coming up on Wednesday, we are gathering at the Vancouver Club, a very prestigious members club, in Vancouver at 6 p.m. So if you like details on that and you can come out and meet Dan Locke, please do RSVP or do contact me or Yulia to get the details for that. All right, Yulia, back to you.
Perfect. So thank you so much for going over that. So you guys, these are just one of the perks that you get as a result of branding yourself online. And I did, Desmond mentioned some cool things and that we've done. And I just actually wanted to show this fun slide that of all the, let me just make this a little bigger. Of all the things that we've done as a result of, because we've branded ourselves online, we've actually been able to attract a lot of really cool opportunities. So there you see Desmond with Ju Kim, who is responsible for building the Donald Trump Tower. That's me, Desmond, and that's Tyson over there. He's actually one of the producers of Discovery Channel, where we actually had a chance to do a reality TV show with Brian Scudamore, franchise owner of 1-800-GOT-JUNK and other franchises, which actually what led to my job working with him right now. And I'm learning so much of what one man can do and how big a vision could really be manifested into reality. So, being a brand of yourself, it can really open up a lot of opportunities even outside of your own brand, right? So there's me in Vegas at a conference for online marketers. We actually get together every 3 months and we strategize the latest technology and the latest up-to-date trends in online marketing, because the difference between the kind of education we have to actually going to university for that is because the online marketing industry is ever growing, ever evolving, and changing rapidly. So we are always up to date to the latest trends. And here's us masterminding with millionaire mentor and earner Tracy Walker. Of course, the income disclaimer at the very end, and me just hanging out there in Vegas, just doing some videos from the pool. And Desmond, maybe you could talk a little bit about what happened here with you got personally interviewed about your story, right? Like you got featured on a TV show, I believe, here, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's actually with Shaw Television, and that's also that's another thing that I did. I worked with Dan Locke, who's my mentor and my business partner. He's a multimillionaire. I gave him value. I also introduced him onto that show as well. That's Louise Uwachu. You guys can look her up, You and I Talk Show. Like to give her a little bit of a plug in here for that. And she does do a show that interviews entrepreneurs, comedians, actors, different people in the Vancouver area here, that are up and coming rising stars and stuff like that. So it was a pleasure and an honor to be on her show and to be broadcasted on national TV. Right. And so, it's not like CNN, it's not like, ABC or anything like that, but it's still a pretty big deal here and getting on that. And that all happened through attraction marketing. I did not know Louise. Her producers actually found my stuff online and then reached out to me and contacted me and asked me to be if I want to be on the show. Then when I did that, I invited Dan to show my appreciation to Louise. I said, hey, you should really interview Dan. I think you'd really love his story. She found him extremely entertaining and extremely valuable for her viewers. So, you see how the whole cycle works here. But it's not what you know, it's who you know, but more importantly, who knows you. So you guys can probably hear my kids in the background here. It is 8:30. We have been on for about 2.5 hours. I'll let Yulia wrap up this stuff for you here if you like. But I probably, actually, maybe I'll just, Yulia, if you don't mind, I'll just talk about this part here because this is really passionate for me and I know Yulia can see it.
Let me just share that again, but you're jumping off.
See, right now, okay, I honestly don't even think number one person is left on this webinar anymore. If you stuck it out this entire time here, because we've been close to 2 hours here, right, is that you're probably someone not in the number one position. So here are the 4 types of people that we see here, okay? People who are completely not interested in this. So you watch this. I have no idea why you watch this for 2 hours if you're not interested in it. You don't believe it. You still think it's a scam. All I want to tell you is that this is not for you. Okay, we wish you all the best. We don't question your opinion or anything like that. You're welcome. You're entitled to your opinion, but this is just not for you. Okay, so we wish you all the best. Right? There's nothing that you need to do next. Go and search for something else. Go hang out on another hangout. Go do whatever you need to. Okay. Now the next one here are people who just came here to get information, and that's fine. You might still be at the analysis paralysis level. You can hear my kids in the background there, guys, because I do have to jump off and go take care of them in a bit here. But you know, if you're that person that's just here to get information, once again, there's nothing much more that Yulia and me can do. You can reply to us, get the emails, get the gifts, do all that stuff, but you probably won't take action. And until you're ready, we're not twisting your arm here. You got to make that decision for yourself. Okay, so we just want to leave you that we respect you. We respect your decision. That's fine. Now, here's the next level here. People who want to do what Yulia and me are doing, we call it want to do this. Okay, you know, you're not really sure what this is, but you're not sure of cost, time, what to do. We kind of gave you, you know, even in the last 2 hours here, as much information as to give you an idea of what our lifestyles are like, our stories are like, our whys, right? But we didn't really go into the nuts and bolts thing. And there's some people out there who need to know the nuts and bolts. I get this all the time from emails, and people will be like, but Desmond, what exactly do you do? Well, that's kind of like going into university, right? Before you get into the university and going to the counselors or whatever and saying, what exactly is in an MBA, right? And expecting them to give you 2 years worth of MBA knowledge up front. There's really no way to show you exactly what to do unless you get started, unless you take the course, right? Because it's a 2-year course, right? You got to go through it and you learn through the whole time. It's OJT, on the job training. You learn by doing. So it's very hard to disseminate and give you like a bird's eye view or a condensed version of what 2 years of training is like, right? So, and it's also like swimming. I always use this analogy as well. You want to get into a swimming pool. I get people all the time that say, Desmond, you know, and they ask me 101 questions. They'll get on the phone with me, you know, waste my time. They'll be like, what exactly do you do? And all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, that's like swimming. You're asking me how to swim. You're sitting on the bleachers on the side and the benches. And we're talking all about swimming, but we haven't even yet to get into the swimming pool. The only way for you to learn how to swim and to see if you know how to swim and to see if you learn the skills of swimming is to be in the water, and for me to be in the water with you and coach you. I can't really coach you on the bleachers if you won't get into the water. So some people will dip their toes in the water. That doesn't work either. You can't swim by dipping your toes in the water. You got to get into the water, get started, then we can show you. Okay, so for people who want to do this, but they're not sure of time and cost and everything, get back to the person who invited you here, get back to Yulia, get back to me, whatever it is, and actually get our link to set up your trial account. We do have a trial account and stuff like that, which has a 14-day money-back guarantee. Okay, get that set up so that you can actually get into the water. And if after 14 days it's not your cup of tea, no biggie. Cancel it, get 100% of your money back. You know, and we will even help you to process that with the customer support people, because we don't want people who don't want to be here with us. We don't want people who feel like they got swindled into this. We don't want people who feel that they got persuaded into this. We want people who want this for themselves, okay? Then last but not least are people who already know they want this. You know, you already know, like you probably already signed up. Like you probably already said, give me the damn click already. Give me the damn link already, Desmond and Yulia, right? I'm ready to do this. I need this change in my life, okay? And if you're ready to get started, and you're ready to be mentored, and you understand you need to pay for education and training and tools, just like you paid for university, okay, then, well, there's really not much to be said, right? Like we promised you, we're not here to pitch you, but if you're a number 4 person, I think it's pretty obvious. Get back to the person who invited you here, ask them for their link, set up your account, and we welcome you to the team. We'll start training you, we'll start showing you, and who knows, you might be the next superstar. You might be our next superstar. So with that, Yulia, I am done, and I would like to just say thank you so much for this awesome opportunity to share. Guys, take action, take massive and immediate action. That's it from me on my side. And as always, once again, my email is desmond@desmond-soon.com. But get in touch with Yulia first, or get in touch with the person who invited you, and then they can redirect you back to me later on. All right, love you, appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Desmond. It's been such a pleasure, and enjoy your time with your kids. You deserve it.
You bet. So I'm going to sign off, you guys, and I'll leave you with Yulia to wrap things up. All right?
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for taking your Saturday night and tuning into this live streaming. And I really hope that I've delivered value to you here. We've talked a lot about our why as a way to show you that, you know what, we need to be reminded that in order to take a step forward, in order to take that courage, in order to break through those perceived walls, right? So we focus a lot on story today so that you realize that we're just regular people, but we have really big whys, and that's what sets us apart from the rest. So like I said, you know, if you're interested in what we're doing, how we're doing it, like Desmond Soon said, you kind of need to test the waters, right? Because it works well for us, that you make a better educated decision and see the system we're using from the inside out, right, then me waste my time on someone that this may not be for. But regardless, I hope that you did receive some value from this. I love and appreciate every single one of you for tuning in here live this Saturday night. Like you said, if you want to have access to that quick start guide to learn how to monetize your passions online, we will give you that beginner's guide. So do get back to me or whoever invited you to this webinar. And I actually have exclusive access to the kit. I got it right here in my hands. The book is actually phenomenal. And if you're looking to be, a mentee of either me or Desmond Soon, we are a team here, or if you have any questions or concerns, we are here to help you out. Again, the opportunity, the support, the leverage is right here in front of you, but it's you who has to plug yourself into the equation, and nobody can make that decision but yourself. So I encourage you to look deep down into your heart and ask yourself, what is it that you really want? And once you figure that out, ask yourself why. And have a desire that burns so hot that it will burn down any walls, any obstacles that you put up yourself. So again, it all comes down to you. Thanks so much for tuning in here live at the yuliatutor.com show, and give me some feedback. I'd like to know how this helped you out. And get back to me, let me know. And if you like this, then we may host something like this again. Have a wonderful evening, and you guys have been an amazing audience. Ciao for now.